What's up, Red Raider Nation? Welcome to episode 54 of the Lone Raider podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. I am your host, Jonah Young, and with me, as always, is my good friend, Nathan. Can we get a JETS Jets chant from you, man?
I'll be honest with you, I really don't want to succumb y'all to that, but at the same time, we might not get that many wins. 6-10, not too shabby again. Well, just bleep me for that. Jets. I'm doing
Oh,
good,
man, you
Jonah.
got
How
to
are
have
you?
more enthusiasm than that, dude.
We
You
won,
got to
but
celebrate every
I don't
win you're going
know.
to get this year, man.
I guess, but you know what? You know what didn't fail me this week? Tech didn't fail me, and we'll get into that,
Absolutely.
buddy. I'm doing great. Thank you, man.
Good to have you. Good to have you here,
For
man.
sure.
Also with us is San Antonio's finest, Mr. 210 himself, Nesto Martinez. What's up, Nesto?
What up, boys? Hey, that introduction does not get tiring at all. Always bangs.
It's always a banger, dude. Always a
It
banger, man.
truly is. Mr. J Train himself, y'all.
Glad to have y'all both here with me. Back on the podcast. Nesto had a little hiatus last week, but he's here today, y'all. On this week's episode, we are once again bringing the good vibes and the high quality conversations your way, including but not ever limited to a recap of the Red Raiders' big road win versus the Baylor Bears, our preview versus the Kansas State Wildcats, which includes an interview with a very special guest, a soccer update, and our easy money wins and losses from last week. All of that coming up here in just a little bit. Before we get into all that, though, I want to remind y'all to go follow our social media accounts. That is at Lone Raider Pod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and on YouTube. Be sure to rate, review, subscribe. Also, feel free to leave us a 5-star review if you so choose. Or don't be that way. I don't know. Either way, we appreciate y'all for supporting your local small-time Texas Tech sports podcast that is brought to you by the fans that give some dams and who are officially powered by the South Plainsmen. Be sure to check them out. That is at the South Plainsmen on both Twitter and Instagram. So, boys, today is Tuesday, October 10th, 2023, officially 44 days until Thanksgiving, man. So should we just go ahead and jump right into our Texas Tech soccer update? I want to just give you a brief glance over because these girls are absolutely dominating, man. They currently sitting at 12-0-3. They've only had 3 draws, have not dropped a game yet.
Undefeated.
They're currently
Woo!
sitting as the 6th ranked team in the country right now, man. That is awesome. I'm just gonna say it right now. Think the girls are gonna bring home a national championship, man. I think they are, man. I think they're gonna bring one home. Bring one home back to Lubbock, back to the John Walker Soccer Complex. Everything, man. This past week, they had a couple really good games. The last couple games. Played 23rd ranked TCU at home in Lubbock. Got the dub 1-0, and then prior to that, they played 7th ranked BYU. Both teams were actually ranked 7th in the country when they played each other, and they had a draw. You know, it was tied at 2-2. Makes sense, right? Makes sense. But hey, the girls still went on the road. They managed to secure a draw. They didn't lose, still remaining undefeated on the year. They have 3 games left on the schedule before they hit the Big 12 tournament. Games against UCF in Orlando, Oklahoma State at the John Walker Soccer Complex. That'll be senior day. And they finish off the year up in Ames to take on the Cyclones out there, man. So yeah, I mean, these girls are absolutely doing fantastic. Just hang in there, man. Like they have been absolutely dominant. I love this team, man. They seem to be having a lot of fun. Follow their social media accounts, man. They're having a lot of fun. They're having a great time. I mean, winning's always a good time, right, guys? It's always a good
It's
time.
always a great time. Good
Always
times,
fun.
for sure.
Faux show.
Yes, especially when you can do it against in-state rivals such as, TCU, a Baylor, a Texas, everybody, man. They've just absolutely been crushing, dominating, and yeah, we're definitely here for it. We're definitely here for it. Hopefully they can keep it up, and I'd love to see them, maybe I don't know, playing for a chip. I don't know, man.
Hey, another natty. Possibility.
Possibility, man. Possibility.
Possibility. Shout out to them though. What a hell of a start.
Yeah, hell of a season so far, man. Hell of a
Mhm.
season. So So we're going to jump right into football, man. So
Let's do it.
Texas Tech football beats Baylor 39-14 for their first conference road win of the season. Let's chat about it, guys. Your boy was at this game. I did have a chance to rewatch this one as well. Because obviously from sitting in the stands, you don't really get great angles and certain things. So I wanted to just kind of glance
Watch
over
it.
it, kind of go like do a little coach's breakdown, essentially,
Yeah.
watch some film on it and everything. So yeah, man. Want to get you guys' thoughts on the game. What'd you think? What went right, what went wrong? We'll get into the stat breakdown, some acknowledge me stats, key contributors. Where do we go from here? Where do we stand? And give our game balls out. So yeah. Let's start with you, Zuni man. What were your thoughts about this game, brother?
Ooh, this was a good game. First and foremost, I mean, this is probably our best complete game of the season, I would say for sure. We did it on the road, finally, ending that just that to me, I thought it was completely coincidental. Like we played hard in a lot of road games and we just came up short. And it's good that we finally finished one out, especially in McLean of all places. So that was cool. Doing it against his former, boss, also cool. So that's always fun. And really, it was just a standout performance. And even when it looked like they were gonna make a small comeback at the end, I truly didn't feel worried. I was like, by that time, the offense was already moving the ball pretty efficiently. So yeah, and our defense the entire game, just shout out to them. They really showed out the entire game. It was pretty incredible to watch, and pretty incredible to see Taj Brooks once again, 100-yard game, fourth straight game now. Like, just keep beating this man. Just keep beating this man, and good things will happen. Like, truly, like this is old school football. Like we get tight ends actually involved. A touchdown, guys, to a tight end. Can y'all believe that? A second string, no less. So shout out Baylor Cup. But yeah, no, this was just awesome game to watch. It was a fun one. X Factor at Austin McNamara, hitting them deep. You know, it was just a joy to watch because their offense really had nothing going for them, and it was nice starting offensive field position at the 40-yard line pretty consistently. So, good game. Let's just keep it rolling. It's there's a lot to be said, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it in more depth. But those are just my initial thoughts. Like this was just a great game to watch as a Tech fan. It was been a while. It's nice to get the monkey off our back finally too, on road losses. So
Absolutely,
what
man.
about you?
Absolutely.
What about you,
Nesto, man.
Nesto?
Yeah, what about you, Nesto?
What went right? Everything went right. Even the lapses on defense. I mean, I just think they were just misjudgments by the safety. On the touchdown, and give up a couple field goals. But other than that, everything else went right. I think the biggest thing that I guess my biggest takeaway of the game is, I think we finally found our offensive identity, which is give Tosh Brooks the ball, which we've been, crying about it for the longest past 4 weeks, maybe since the beginning of the season. But yeah, it looks like everybody's on the same page now. We finally have found an offensive identity, and moving forward, we know what to expect.
I love
Absolutely,
it.
man.
I love
Absolutely.
it.
Going back to
Old school
Zuni's
football,
take
man.
though, with Baylor Cup, Baylor scoring 2 touchdowns on Baylor. Pretty fun sight to see, man. I'm just gonna pull up some stats right now. Total yards had 366 total yards, 180 through the air. Baron Moore 19 of 26 for 180 yards and 3 touchdowns with 1 interception, man. And like I said, man, that's about the number of pass attempts I like to see Baron Morton at. I like to see him kind of in that 20 to 28 kind of range there. I don't really want to see him taking over 30 attempts, unless obviously the run game's not there. Then you kind of have to air it out. And not to say I don't think because he's capable, he's definitely capable. But I think your identity is really in your run game. I feel like we now have an identity in that run game. Of course, we had 186 yards on the ground. Taj Brooks amassed 170 of that with a touchdown off of 31 carries. my goodness, man. Like,
Yeah.
we've been harping on the last couple of weeks, and I don't want to sound like a hypocrite, but 31 carries, it's quite a bit, man.
Yeah, it is. That's a lot of touches, man.
Maybe just ease off that just a tad bit, maybe get it like instead of 31, maybe 24, because I feel like you have a very capable back in Cameron Valdez as well, too. And plus, you got a long season to go, man. If you keep giving Taj Brooks, 30 carries a game, granted, he would love it, man. But you get to the end of the year, man, that's when you're going to kind of like, be worn down a little bit, So just ease off just a touch, man. And I know that is
it's just
once
crazy.
again a little hypocritical, but just wanted to kind of state that, get that out there as well too. So
give him a chance at a career, guys, is what Jeb is saying.
yeah, exactly. Give him a chance as well, dude. Receiving, you had Miles Price led the way with 10 receptions for 90 yards in this game, 9 yards per reception. Followed by Baylor Cup, 2 receptions for 34 yards and 2 touchdowns as well. Just absolute stud, man. Coy Aiken, 2 receptions for 20 yards. Dre McCray, 2 receptions for 17. John Bradley didn't, obviously on 1 reception for 6 yards. Xavier White, 1 reception for 9 yards. I do feel like, when I was at the game and that offensive PI that Jerron Bradley had, I was like, that is a soft OPI, man. That was a soft one that they called. But then I went back and I watched the game, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, he yanked that corner to the ground. Like, yeah, that'll be an OP. OPI.
With that said, great concept. You love to say, because we had him. We did. I mean, granted, he did pull him down a little bit, or a lot.
We
had
how
him
much
froze,
is a lot,
for sure.
though, right?
If this man just pretends to block and then just runs the goes like regular, I truly think he had him. Maybe at the 1, maybe for the touchdown. Who knows? Who's to say? But it looked great. That's what I got to say, right? Short pass game, quick release. I like the game plan that we're doing for our QB, truly. Because, not to say that he's inexperienced, but he still kind of is. He's still kind of fresh to the whole college football atmosphere. He looked way better than he did last season, that's for sure. So that's great. As far as Baylor last season, Baylor this game, yeah, it's night and day, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, crazy, man. And you harped on the defense there just a little bit. Only gave up 341 total yards in this game. 324 through the air. You made Baylor pass the ball. Blake Shapen went 22 of 38. That's not in Baylor's identity, so it's a really good job. You absolutely they had no rushing attack. Baylor's a running team, and they were not able to run the ball against you. They had 17 rushing yards against this defense, man. You played outstanding, absolutely outstanding as well too. Penalties, 4 penalties for 40 yards. That's not, great, but definitely, something you need to clean up. But you can, you can still win with that. It's not fantastic. It's not like 9 for 100. So clear that up just a little bit. But I think you're fine. Baylor only had 1 penalty for 10 yards. It's pretty clean game overall. The refs didn't really make it about them. Which actually kind of did want to get y'all's opinion on kind of how you view Big 12 officiating. I ended up having a conversation with this on a Twitter space earlier this week, but just kind of wanted to run it past y'all. But time of possession as well. You dominated that first time. I think all season you held the ball longer than your opponent did. You had the ball for 30 minutes and 4 seconds. They had it for 29 minutes and 56 seconds throughout the game too. So, kudos to them, man. Kudos to the offense. I felt like you really hit the nail on the head. It was a complete game, like the first complete game I've seen of the season. I will say what I wanted to see there kind of at the end, just selfishly, because I remember this game last year in Lubbock. I wanted to see them when they had the ball there with it was a turnover on downs. They had the ball. It could just ran it in right there too. Cause I was sitting in that section too, like that corner of the end zone. I was like, just run the ball over there, man. I want to, like high five on the players or something like that, and we had a really great season this game too. But Yeah, because I went back to last year's game when Baylor showed absolutely no mercy, no sympathy towards you, man. And you decided to go and take the knee. Joe McGuire wants to show a little more class. Got a little more class than Dave Aranda, perhaps. Throwing a little, maybe throw a little shade at Dave Aranda, but
Oh God.
yeah, I really just kind of wanted that as well, just to um, dating back to last year's game up there in Lubbock. So you did get your revenge though. You got your revenge. You beat them 39-14. Got a 25-point win on the road. It was it was a great game, man. It was an absolute dominant game. As we get into like the what went right. I mean, virtually everything, man. Run defense, you were able to stop them, man. Absolutely stop them. There wasn't really a whole lot you did wrong in this game. You always try to find little things that you can improve
To
on.
improve.
Once again,
Yeah.
I'm kind of going back to the penalties. You can clean that up just a little bit. Of course, the fumble that Taj had as well too can't go overlooked. The interception you threw was a pretty bad interception as well too. So that's just kind of some of the things that went wrong, but it really had no effect on the game. Their offense went 1 of 6 on 4th down. You were 1 of 2 on 4th down, which I thought was a real shit spot that they gave Cameron Valdez in that. The one turnaround downs that you had.
Uh,
I thought that was a real, like, even
it didn't matter. It didn't
going back
matter.
to replay, like rewatching that, I'm still going like, I think that's still a first
I
down, man.
I think
Like,
I personally I think he was short. Honestly, from the angle, I thought he was
I don't
short.
know, man. I don't know,
His knee
man.
hits pretty
I
close, and
think
it didn't matter though.
that I think that if the ruling on the field is a first down, you have to have like clear
Indisputable.
evidence that he was
Yeah.
short. Like, how can you overturn that? I
Yeah,
don't
and
know.
I don't feel like you had indisputable video evidence to
Yeah, I feel
overturn
like
that
it was too
call.
close to call, so
Yeah,
you have to stick with the call on the field.
exactly.
So are you trying to allude to that Big 12 officiating kind of a hot garbage or lackluster,
It's just
inconsistent
not
maybe?
consistent.
Yeah, I think
Inconsistent.
it's really inconsistent, because it really depends on what crew you get too. I feel like this crew is actually pretty decent. I think it feel like might be one of the better crews in the Big 12. Um, but still, I just feel like it's a little bit inconsistent this season. I feel like it's been cleaned up here and there, but I feel like some crews do like to make it more about themselves, like to have their TV time, yada yada, whatever. But I think for the most part, this year Big 12 officiating hasn't been as bad as it's been in past years as well too. Now, of course, we're talking football now. We'll get into basketball later. That's a whole different conversation, But so far on the year, I feel like it's been pretty fair. I mean, about as fair as you can kind of get. Um, but I mean,
I mean,
I'll take this year's calls over last year's calls though.
yeah, we're winning, right? So
Well, I
that's
mean, we're
always good,
500
right?
right now, so
Hey, we're winning. We're on a win streak, Jonah. Correct me if I'm wrong.
2-1 in conference is all that
Th-
matters.
That's what I want to hear. We got the same record as Texas.
we do. Yes, yes.
Just
Longhorns
saying.
dropped that game, in up there, which I mean, I had them in the pick'ems and in our over
So
unders
did
from
I.
last week. So
So did I.
a little bit just a little bummed out
It's
about
right.
that. Well, I mean,
It's a
not too
rivalry
bummed out.
games.
Like I'll never be bummed out
Shout
when
out
Texas
OU.
loses. Um,
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I'm happy they won. So
yeah,
it is what it is. But yeah, now we're tied for first, baby. We
absolutely,
out
man.
here.
And I
We
want to
out
get some
here.
defensive stats as well too, man. Our boy Ben Roberts, man, just continues to show out.
That
Dude.
guy's crazy
Led
good.
the team in tackles, had 7 total tackles in this game, 5 solos, 2 tackles for loss. Man, guy just continues to be impressive.
Wow.
Followed by CJ Baskerville with the 6 total, 4 solo, 1 tackle for loss.
He was pretty nice this game. Good
Hello,
old
Steve
Lux.
Linton, man.
Oh
Welcome to the
yeah,
game, dude. Welcome
Jonah
to
out
the
here calling him out
Finally.
last week. Calling him
Yes,
out
I
last week comes
know.
up with 2 big plays.
No,
3
3.
big
He had
plays.
3
3
sacks.
big
He
plays.
had 3 tackles, 3 solos for
Didn't he
3
have a
sacks.
fumble recovery too? So yeah, that
I think
man
he
had a good
did.
game, I think.
Yeah. Steve
He
Linton
heard
came
you
to
loud
play,
and
man. Like
clear.
this
That's right.
is
Shout
yes.
out to Syracuse, Orangeman, G-man.
Like this is the Steve Linton I've been waiting to see all year, man. Like you finally showed up halfway through the season. Better late than never, I suppose, man. But I feel like he might have listened to last week's podcast too. I was kind of going a little bit off on him. Uh, so wanted to prove me and the boys wrong over here. But
Shut that
yeah, I
man
mean,
up real quick.
he
Singing
he
different
had a
praises
fantastic
this week,
game.
ain't you?
Love to do. I mean, he's been on. I think he was like the Reese's Senior Bowl Defensive Player of the Week or something like that. I mean, yeah, he had like a lot of different awards going on for him there. So happy for the guy, man, and hopefully we can continue to see him play like this throughout the rest of the season. I think it might have had to do a little bit with him getting rid of that stupid bar on his face mask, like, and I get it, like, the bar that goes straight down like that. He had that visor on and everything like too. And I get that, that sets a tone, that sets a precedence there, man. But like if you're not
Bar.
good and you got the bar, dude, you just a clown, man. That's what you are. In this game, he had an
God
actual
damn.
updated face mask,
Okay.
um, like a modern day face mask, not just the bar going up and down. So I think that might have played a little bit of an impact to it. So we'll see if it continues with the modern day or if it goes back to the old bar in the middle face mask. So we'll have to see that one, man. But
I didn't think Jonah was gonna be pressed about a face mask, ladies and gentlemen, but here we
well,
are.
no, I'm just saying, like, all season he had that dumb face mask. Now he gets a modern day one and he shows up. Like, I think that there's a correlation somewhere there, right?
Yeah, sure.
Somewhere,
Correlation
right?
equals causation or something like that. So I don't know. I don't know. We like football and we like good football, and that was Tech. So shout out to
Yes.
them. Shout out to Lux. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. The DB had
Braylon
some
Lux,
pretty
man.
Braylon Lux. Out of was it Fresno
Fresno
State, or is it?
State, yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, right? So he had some pretty big moments pass defending, shut down the air too. If you're asking my honest opinion, they didn't really have besides the what's his name trying to go for the pick there.
Yeah,
I mean,
Braylon Lux had two passes defended
yeah,
there.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah.
two pretty important passes in the game. I mean, one to set up the half. I mean, they tried to take the deep shot. It was 1-on-1 with him. Perfect coverage. Perfect coverage. I remember that on the sideline. It was beautiful. I
Yeah, I
had
thought
a
also thought Marion Banks, due to Banks, he had himself a pretty good game in this one,
yeah,
had
dude, I
four
had a good one too.
tackles, one tackle for loss as well. Um,
Taylor
didn't
Demerson, just being everywhere,
yeah,
just being
he,
that
he didn't
guy.
have a he didn't have an interception in this one, but hey, I'll take it.
He was, I
Um,
mean, he put on a lot of pressure. Like they were saying this guy on the blitz a lot, and it was nice to see.
yeah, I mean, he did force a fumble though, which is pretty
Yeah,
good too.
so
I obviously like to see that. So you know, it's awesome, man, awesome. But yeah, man, should we go ahead and move on to our actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and kind of go like from you know where we go now and where do we stand and everything like that. Currently, as the season's gone on, sitting at 3-3 right now. I think we're sixth in the Big 12 standings at the moment. That is due to some teams having a bye week and others not, and others only haven't played like one or two games in conference play, where we are on our third game in conference play. But so far I feel like you have done what you were almost what you're supposed to do. I feel like you should have beaten West Virginia, of course, kind of going back to that one. But you've had back-to-back wins against Houston and against Baylor, which no disrespect to those programs, but I think they're probably going to finish towards the bottom of the Big 12. No disrespect. That's just kind of the way I see things going. That's the way I see them trending out there. Now you play got some pretty good teams coming up ahead, man. You're going through your toughest stretch of the season against, and we'll get to these games in a minute, but you're going your toughest stretch of the season with K-State, BYU, and then TCU as well too. That's not that's a pretty formidable slate of games you got coming up on your schedule, man.
I
So
I I would say winnable games. Just saying, a lot of winnable games there. As far as conference play goes, this is a nicer schedule to have. I got to be honest with you. Playing OSU and Oklahoma in a schedule like this, where we're 3-3, yeah, I'd be a little worried, guys. But I mean, BYU, UCF, bring it on. Like those are formidable opponents, but I think we can handle that. But please continue, Jenna. How you feeling? How are you feeling going forward, man? At 3-3.
I feel Optimistic.
especially in
I feel kind of cautiously
conference play,
optimistic.
man. Yeah.
We are currently projected to play in the Armed Forces Bowl versus Fresno State. That's where we're
Mm-hmm.
currently projected at in the latest bowl projections as well, which I'll take at this point. I feel like you've now found yourself an identity. Your defense is playing pretty solid. You're able to shut down the run. Need to do better, tighten up the pass defense a little bit, but as long as you're able to make them one dimensional, I feel like you're pretty good there on that side of the ball. Obviously we'd still love to see them open up the middle of the field. With the especially with your run game, open up the play action a little bit more, get some maybe some screen passes going as well too. Obviously, Kitley's model is getting your playmakers in space and everything. So I feel like you have yourself an offensive identity finally. Better late than never, of course. Defense is holding pretty strong against opponents. Then again, though, we're feeling pretty confident, man. Feeling pretty confident against some lesser teams. Just kind of eerily similar to what happened last year. When we got some big wins against some teams last year, we're going into this next game, and we got our ass handed to us against Baylor last year. So we'll get to that game here in just a minute. But yeah, where do you guys kind of feel like we stand, and where do you think we go from here? Start with you, Nesto. You haven't talked about it very much.
I mean, I think like I said, 2 podcasts ago, this game between these two teams were kind of like going to determine where you go from the season.
Yeah.
If we would have lost against Baylor, that would have been probably the biggest blow. And I think honestly, from that point on, the season it's just demoralizing, and we probably would have trended lower rather than higher. Now, you're 2-1 in conference play. You're still alive. You got to win out, yeah, but it's not impossible. Very winnable teams, ahead of us. I think this next one against Kansas State is going to be like one of the toughest ones, but not impossible. So if I can honestly see us win out as long as we win this coming Saturday. Do we have a bye week next week? I
I
believe
think we have
No,
it
it'll be
after K-State.
after BYU. We'll have a bye
after
BYU.
week,
BYU.
and
Oh,
then we
wow.
play that Thursday against TCU, and then we have like a little mini bye week there, and then we kind of have a normal the rest of the year. So
Yeah, so I mean, right now, as it stands, I think we're looking good. Just got to see where you go on from here. Like after this game, I feel like the Baylor game was like a test of like, you know, where are we gonna head? So now that we've won, like it's on us. More like if you win this game, I feel like you should handle business against BYU, UCF, and then I think we play TCU. You said right?
yeah,
Yeah, and they
Yeah,
haven't looked that good either,
yeah,
right? So
exactly. So we should handle them as well at that point, and then eventually we end up facing Kansas, which they've looked really good. So you know, um, I think it's looking good.
nice, man, nice. What about you, Ziggy?
honestly, more than cautiously optimistic. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, like we said, we were hyped on about getting our offensive identity. That's cool. Had we had this at the beginning of the season, who knows? Maybe we're 5-1, 6-0 right now, right? Who knows? You could argue that, especially in a lot of these one-score games that we were in. So honestly, I'm feeling like we should still compete for the Big 12. Honestly, that's how I'm feeling, because not only were we projected to be like that this season, um, I feel like we're actually, I mean, yes, you're saying quality opponents, but I still look at, the prior games that we've played, Wyoming, West Virginia, Oregon. These teams don't look like they're cupcake teams this year. So we just
Especially
beat two
Wyoming.
teams who, yeah. So these are the other two teams are teams that we were supposed to win, and we did it handily. So yeah, I'm still very confident that we're competing at least to the very end. So yeah, I agree with y'all and y'all's opinion about, especially Nestor's, about how he's feeling schedule wise. The only problem though is that college football is crazy, right? It changes week to week. Colorado at one point looked like they were going to be in the top 10 ranked team at one point, and now look where they're at now. They're not even people are still watching, but they're not ranked, right? So that's what I'm getting at. So we still got to take it week to week, and I just hope that that's what they're preaching in the locker room. Like, yeah, all these games are winnable, and I'm feeling pretty good. Like, I think we can still compete all the way to the very end. Truly, especially if we beat Kansas State this coming game. Yeah, I don't think we should keep the foot on the gas and keep believing on this team, especially because we're seeing some unprecedented things here at Texas Tech, with a strong defense and a solid running game. What? I don't know. Maybe it's just one of those seasons where we're supposed to get one finally. So that's how I'm feeling.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And I'm very much in the company of just one Saturday at a time. One Saturday at a time. Take care of business against K-State this week, move on to BYU, move on to TCU. Move just keep it rolling, just like, whatever happened that week, hey, look, whatever, time to move on, time to, reset, refocus, and go out there and perform your best. And we've seen it when this team is at their best, man. They're a pretty damn good team. Pretty damn good as well, too, man. Still have not crossed that 50 mark yet. Still haven't gotten a 50 burger on the season, which I've thought we definitely would have at least by now. But is what it is. Not going to complain much. I want to enjoy this win. I want to focus on K-State now. So yeah, I mean, I'm very much in the company, just one Saturday at a time. Take care of business. And I think you'll amass a lot more wins than I think what's to be expected. I think you'll achieve that bowl game. That's kind of our goal now at this point that we said on a couple podcasts ago. Our goal is just to make a bowl game at this point now too. And so I think if you continue to do that, that will come to fruition sooner than we think it will. And, I think that all starts with how we're going to play this next week, and then the next week, and then the next week. It all starts there. So just keep it moving, man. Keep it moving. Keep the momentum going here. So let's go ahead and give out some game balls, man. Zuni, we want to give your game ball out to this week, buddy.
Oh, this one's tough, man. And you know what? I guess I just got to keep doing what the coaches finally figured out, right? Got to give it to my boy Taji Brooks, man. Got to be the guy. I'll let y'all give it to Steve Linton or one of the other defensive players this game. But yeah, I got to give it to my boy Taji Brooks, man. I love this dude, Taj Brook. I know I say Taji, but I just like giving nicknames to our players sometimes. But yeah, so that man lights out, career day. And you know what? Yeah, that's pretty nice. Cam, I don't remember the last time I seen a running back like this at Texas Tech, to be honest with you. That just keeps getting fed. So nice. That's my game ball. What about y'all?
Man. It's been a minute.
Been a minute.
And I noticed that we got our first win in Waco since 2007. Now that is a little bit misleading, considering that for about a decade or so, this game was played in Arlington, there at Jerry World. So there's a little bit misleading there. But yeah, I got a first win against Baylor in Waco since 2007. That's a kind of an interesting trivia right there, man. Could have been your question.
Could have been. It was gonna be, actually. It was gonna be one of them. I mean.
Nesto, man. Nesto, who's your game ball going to, buddy?
I gotta give it to Steve, bro.
Steve Linton, boy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I mean, he balled out after we called him out, so you just have
to. Let's keep calling him out, man.
I know
he puts up performances like that. Let's keep calling him out. Some players just need to do that too, man. They just need to keep lighting fire into their ass, and they'll perform for you. Nice. But yeah, that's a great one, man. Great game ball. My game ball is gonna go to Baylor Cup, scoring 2 touchdowns against Baylor, man. I thought he had a really good game in this one, man. Only had 2 receptions, both of them were for touchdowns, man. That's what I call going 1,000. He's batting 1,000 out there, dude.
Hey, his second touchdown was a thing of beauty, man.
Yes,
it was so open. Dude. I like the play call on that. That was really nice.
I believe he's filling for I feel like he's filling pretty nice for injured Mason Tharp in this one. He'll hopefully be back. Hopefully he'll be back pretty soon as well. And it's kind of funny that he's considered the smaller of our tight ends. The dude's 6'6", but Mason Tharp is 6'9". So
don't you know?
He's
get your weight up.
The tight ends as well too.
Throw a little more, man. Throw a little more.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Absolutely, man. But yeah, so my game ball is going to go to Baylor Cup, scoring 2 touchdowns against Baylor, man. I thought it was good to be on this side against Baylor too. Last couple of years has not gone our way. So yeah, it feels good to be back here on this side as well too. So, got any final thoughts about this game before we go ahead and move on to our next topic?
Great game. Great game.
Hell
really
We
yeah.
got
good game.
revenge. Let's do it.
Let's do it, man. Another dub in the all-time series for the Red Raiders. All right, so let's move on to our new segment against Kansas State. Before we get into this preview segment, though, I did have the chance to speak with Kansas State superfan Eric, the man behind the Special Teams U Twitter page for Kansas State, co-host of the Mobcast, a K-State sports podcast as well, which you guys can go and subscribe to on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts as well too. Really insightful, really great conversation I had with him. So yeah, here you guys go. Here's my conversation with Eric. All right, so let's get this one started. I'm joined here today by Eric, the man behind Special Teams U Twitter account, a real staple in the Kansas State and honestly Big 12 Twitter in general, a real integral part of those communities, who is also the co-host of the Mobcast, a Kansas State sports podcast, who is here today to talk to us about this weekend's matchup between the Kansas State Wildcats and the Texas Tech Red Raiders. So Eric, how you doing today, man?
Could be better. It's been a rough year for both of our programs with expectations, right?
Absolutely. Definitely felt like records would be a little bit better than what they have been this year. I'm pretty sure honestly, you can make the argument, expected to be undefeated, both sides undefeated going into this matchup. But here we are, trying to make the most of it, though,
Yes, sir.
But yeah, I guess we'll just kind of jump right into it. So Kansas State, of course, coming off a bit of a deflating loss to Oklahoma State. Wildcats currently sitting at 3-2 this season. As y'all approach the halfway point of this year, what is your overall impression of this year's Kansas State team, and where do you see you guys kind of trending as you get to the back half of the year?
So I hope this isn't me like saying paywall information, but Derek Young, great reporter for Kansas State, he talked to Kobe Savage, Will Howard, and I'm forgetting the third player. It might have been Cooper Bebe, but BB, but it seemed like they said they were listening to the noise a little bit too much for coming into the season. I don't know. It is a bit hard, especially being a K-State fan, because we had such high expectations for running it back this year. But Kleiman, Caleb said something today. Kleiman always has a pretty bad loss every year. Example, Tulane, Arkansas State in the past. And then there's usually a bounce back. So Missouri wasn't an awful game. I think they're a lot better than they were the year prior. Was on the road in SEC environment. I think we should have won, but we lost on the longest field goal in SEC history. Ridiculous.
Devastating.
By the way. I witnessed it in person and absolutely wanted to just, we were in the second level. I just wanted to do a nosedive off it. But that was rough. But then this Oklahoma State came and, it's like, oh shit, that we actually have issues. Like I thought Missouri was on the road early in the season. You can bounce back, but Oklahoma State really showed there were a lot of issues with this team. Offensive line is improving. It started off a little rough. But going back to the question, I still have expectations. I still think this could be a good year, but like we're gonna have to win out, and we're gonna have to beat Texas, and we can't you can't have another loss in Big 12 play now. If you look at Oklahoma's schedule, it ain't exactly hard. So you're going to have to beat Texas if you want to get back in it. On the road in Lubbock, though, is no easy task. We've had success there in the past, but I think you guys are punching below your weight like we are. So I'm predicting we get better and we bounce back. But this week, there's some pretty serious alarms going off.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to do a little follow-up question to that. You guys had a lot of returning players this year. What do you think really has been the biggest difference between this year's team as opposed to last year's Big 12 championship team?
So a clear-cut wide receiver one is kind of the issue. Malik Knowles last year was great in space, and he isn't here this year. And not to take anything away from Phillip Brooks, but he is not taking over that role. Like he hasn't become the clear cut as a senior too, a super senior if I'm right. And then the second is secondary. You lost Brent's, Echo, and one other player. And then like injuries this year. I mean, shit, we've lost Daniel Green and we've lost Asa Newsome, who is a true freshman, but like one of the best linebackers that's come through us in a while, and he was starting. So we got true freshman Austin Romaine playing linebacker, and he's played great. I'm like no issues with it, but it's when you have true freshmen and it's rough. I think that the biggest difference is definitely secondary. Defense took a step back. There's, replacing Deuce Vaughn, I think that we all kind of got overzealous after the UCF game because he had such a great game, but then we just watched Kansas destroy them.
Yes.
And we learned that they just have a god-awful rushing defense. Not to take anything from DJ Giddens. He's an absolute stud. But replacing Deuce Vaughn, I think we were all a little too like that we did it after that game, but now we're seeing that, when it comes to pass and stuff, his shiftiness, made linebackers play different, made defenses play different. So really, we did have quite a bit of turnover, and I think the return of the offensive line kind of masked that. Like people thought we were returning a lot, which we did overall, but definitely hurts, especially right now with our secondary. Will Lee is out this week, and he's our CB1. We were missing Will Lee and Parrish all of last week. We missed Parrish Will Lee in the second half, but secondary and Deuce, it really seems. And then I hope I'm not jumping a question here, but not that I'm going to get on a rant if I don't stop myself, but Will Howard has kind of taken a step back. He had one bad game. I think it's absolutely ridiculous for our fan base to call for his head after one bad game, since, he's thrown a pick in every game. In this game, he kind of went a little nuts and threw 3, but prior to this game, he was not having a bad season. And for people to call for our super senior quarterback to put in a fucking true freshman is insane. So
definitely hear you, man. I definitely hear you there. Kind of wanted to and we'll get to a little bit more on Will Howard a little bit later on. I kind of wanted to go on to the staff a little bit, kind of talk a little about Coach Kleiman. He was a guy that I held in pretty high regard whenever we were making our coaching change from we fired Cliff Kingsbury, and then I had Chris Kleiman, like thinking like, hey, look, he's had a national championship, multiple national championships there in North Dakota State. Like, keep your eye on him. I think he can make a real impact at the FBS level. But kind of going back, several years when Bill Snyder retired. Bill Snyder, legendary head coach, known for the biggest turnaround in college football history. When a man like that retires, there's going to be some big shoes to fill. But when Kansas State announced that they were going to go with Chris Kleiman, what was your initial reaction to the hire? And what have your expectations for Coach Kleiman been? Have they been exceeded? Have they been met? What's kind of a how would you grasp that?
So COVID kind of threw a wrench in every expectation that you kind of have for a team. I mean, I'm going to say this, but I'm not taking anything away from Iowa State's COVID season. I really feel like that season it should have an asterisk by it, especially since like players opted out and everything. It was a really weird time and no one really knew what was going on. So I'm going to take COVID year away. He's exceeded my expectations. He won a Big 12 championship, which Snyder only did twice in all of his time there. And also the end of Snyder's tenure was kind of soured because he was filibustering for his son, Sean, who didn't even want the job and no one really wanted him to take the job. So it was really nice to get a new coach. But God, it's been like, since Ron Prince was the one prior before Snyder, and he was terrible. Undefeated versus Texas, though, isn't that crazy? Never lost to Texas.
Yeah, that's I noticed that. I did a little search.
Weird,
man. Awesome.
It is. It was a good time. Now we're 0-6 in the past matchups, but God, I want to beat Texas so bad I can't even explain. But yes, Chris Kleiman has exceeded my expectations. I have the utmost faith in him, and even if we lose this weekend, anyone even this season that calls for his head, it would take us losing probably 5 of the next games for me to even be like, what is going on with him? He is he's time and time again proved that he's a great fit here. I'm so happy. Gene Taylor, our athletic director, absolutely knocked it out of the park. And I know I'm switching sports here, but even with Jerome Tang, like he's made fantastic hires. So it was a time of uncertainty, and we were pretty bad in 2018, which was my freshman year there. Yeah, anything was a welcome change when we were not looking good that year. And there was a lot of stuff coming out of the locker room about how, Bill like wasn't recruiting, and he had a lot of rules, and he just kind of wasn't updating with the times. And that tends to come from a coach that's in his 70s. So definitely a big fan of Chris Klieman, though.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I did have a chance to go up to Kansas State back in 2016. It was my freshman year at Tech.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to go tailgating or do anything like that, but I kind of actually just wanted to get your opinion a little bit on that. If I were to visit, which I might actually visit this year. I don't know if you guys play at home, because I'm thinking about making a trip up to Lawrence for the Tech Kansas game. I don't know if you guys play at home that week, but next time I do go up there to Manhattan, man, just kind of what are some places I need to visit? What are some sites I need to check out, man? Because I didn't really have a chance to do that last time, so I just kind of wanted to.
From my freshman year, Aggieville has completely changed. It is a 100% different place. Like, I mean, they've like everything has changed. I mean, there's a whole parking garages, and there's a hotel that wasn't there. They got rid of the Burger King, rest in peace. So many drunk meals were had there. I would say really only almost every bar on Aggieville is a great stop. Tanner's, So Long Saloon has fantastic food. Their burgers are great. They have a peanut butter burger that's going to knock your socks off.
Ooh,
and then
it's interesting.
Let me think. Yard Bar, that gets pretty crazy. And then, I would say those are the staples. Fatties. They got rid of Coco Bolos, which I think had really good food, and Fuzzies tacos, which was really good too.
Yes.
But yeah, I would definitely say almost any bar on Aggieville is a good bet. A lot of cool shops there that have opened up since I was a freshman there too. Aggieville's definitely gotten a lot of improvements since I was there. And then that drunk walk from Aggieville to the stadium's about 2 miles, but depending on how much you drink, it doesn't feel like it. So
Yeah, and plus it's always Uber and everything like that. So.
yeah.
Not too bad.
But I was pretty broke, so
definitely understand that. We got Broadway out here in Lubbock. It's always a big one, kind of big attraction out here in Lubbock. Going to the bars down there, or to the it's the ones kind of little Depot district out there. It's always pretty good out there if you ever come to Lubbock.
I haven't made it out, man. I definitely do need to come out to Lubbock. It's just, I mean, shit, how far is it from Manhattan to Lubbock?
It's about like 9-hour drive.
I think that's the same though. I think Dallas is 9 from here. So
that's not really.
I live in Joco, so which is about 2 hours from Manhattan.
Okay.
So used to driving. My family's from Western Kansas.
I understand.
I need to get out.
I got a friend from Dodge City out there, kind of towards
sort of Western Kansas, is out there.
But yeah, I guess it's because we've interacted a little bit on the Twitter Spaces. Of course, you host a lot of those. I've joined in. It's been you mentioned that. I noticed, like, going back to kind of the last Twitter Space, you were kind of getting blown up by TCU fans in your mentions when you guys lose, and you mentioned that typically when you guys lose, you got a lot of TCU fans in your mentions. I'm curious as to, and I can go off on TCU all day long. I do not like that university. But I'm kind of curious as to what other kind of fan bases you have that kind of come after you on Twitter, because I got a few kind of obscure ones too. I just want to see if ours kind of match there.
So with the Oklahoma State loss, we're pretty close with Oklahoma State. So, talking a whole lot of shit. I mean, seriously, so after the loss, I bet I had 3 people say shit, and we lost, so I can take it. It was weird though with TCU. I don't know, like they were coming after Will Howard. And I was like, I mean, are you guys just upset that you lost to him? Because, I mean, beat you in the conference championship game, which I don't know. It was because I think it's because I went after them from Colorado. They were pretty high on the year, and to be honest, that was my bad. Colorado ended up being better than I thought. I think this USC game was a little weird. I think USC is a way better team than them, and that was a weird ending where they like
Yeah.
came, which made the game look a lot better than it was. Prior to that, I mean, they made a fourth quarter heroic stand to make it, yeah. But for Colorado, which I was a lot more up on this year for Kansas State than I am now. Thinking maybe we could even repeat a New Year's Six. Definitely not looking like that now. I can take it, but it was weird because we haven't played them yet, and they were upset. So I think it's mostly that they lost us in the conference championship game. They still got into the playoffs. They still beat Michigan, which I use as a Big Ten argument all the time. So I don't despise them. I think that win was big for our conference, and it wasn't a fluke win. I think they really competed. But yeah, a little bit little brother energy that they're coming after us from the loss. If they beat us, then go nuts. But yeah, it's usually Oklahoma's kind of gotten in my mentions a little bit, and they're really thriving right now. But yeah, it's TCU, Kansas as always, and then I never hear from Baylor. Like I don't think I've interacted.
Nor do I. I think they have like 2-3 personalities on Twitter. That's kind of about it.
I'm searching for one. Like
it's
weird, man.
Yeah, I was at that game in Waco this past weekend, and I mean this stadium was not full. I mean, like on ESPN it says like on their website it says 99% capacity. It was not 99%. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I would say that the student section was full, and then they started losing, and they slowly made their exit at the.
I talked about that when they were getting blown out by UCF. I was like, the downfall of this program after a Big 12 title is insane. And shit, I was like, I kind of thought about it, and I'm like, we're lucky that we haven't had that fall off. And right after I thought that, we lost to Oklahoma State. But I think he's 7-10 since that Big 12 title, I think is his record, which I think that's right. I think I tweeted that out. But I mean, that's even with turnover, you shouldn't have that sort of post. Like that should lead to better recruiting. Our
Absolutely.
class of 23 was the best in my lifetime ever. It might have been the best K-State class ever. Avery Johnson, 2 4-stars alongside him, Asa and Jordan Allen, and borderline 4 stars all across the board. We're high 3-star U. So, yeah. I mean,
I understand that.
It's just
kind of
that
getting back to
downfall.
kind of getting back a little bit to fan bases. I tend to get a lot of Utah fans coming after me, like when we lose, like in my mentions.
Sorry, you broke up.
Utah.
Really?
Yeah. And I do have a lot of, I guess it stems from I do have a lot of BYU followers as well too. I mean, BYU fans are actually really cool.
They're cool, man.
Yeah,
nice.
I really like them. I'm going out to that game in Provo this year when they play Tech. I mean, I really just want to go there to see the stadium. I mean, I know it's I've seen pictures of it. It looks beautiful. I'm pretty sure pictures don't do it justice. So I got to see that in person. You know what I mean?
Gorgeous.
But yeah, I think it's really odd. They get Utah fans, of course, TCU fans, and Texas fans, of course, too. But yeah, I mean, I just think it's really obscure that Utah, hey, you're not in this conference yet, man. You don't see me. I have not said anything negative on Twitter about Utah at all. I've boosted BYU, kind of raised them up a little bit, but I guess they were salty about that. I know they're big rivals, but
I think they're salty. They're coming here they wanted to be
yeah.
And in their defense, as much shit as we were talking about how they wouldn't come in and run the conference, a lot of the Big 12 has underperformed this year. So I wouldn't blame them for thinking, shit's sweet over here. But I think the Pac-12 is top heavy, just like the Big Ten, the SEC. And if you look at overall competitiveness amongst the conference, I think it goes SEC, Big 12. That like seriously, what is it? Is it the Big Ten East, which is like Nebraska and all them, or is it the West?
Yeah.
The Big Ten East. I mean, might be the worst division in football. It is god awful.
Yeah. I call them the
And
little Mac or the Big
seriously,
Mac, I guess. Sorry.
it is like just ugly football games. Like it is legitimately not fun to watch them. And I love college football. I
Yeah.
do not. Those games suck. And yeah, it's I went on tired against the Big Ten, but yes, like with Utah coming in, I think by the end of the year they might realize that some of the like top heavy of USC, Washington, that like those are good teams, but the rest of the conference is pretty in rough shape.
Yeah, kind of on the kind of interchangeable, kind of like there.
Yeah.
Where I feel like everyone in the Big 12, with Texas Noe's departure is going to be kind of
Any given
same,
Saturday.
yeah, really any given Saturday. It's going to be kind of the same level, kind of similar to basketball essentially too. Like because I mean it's grind for basketball season.
We're gonna be a crazy basketball, especially did you see what
no.
Gonzaga?
Yeah.
If that happens, Jesus.
So I guess kind of jumping into this week's game, we haven't talked about that one quite yet. So this week's game, it's not really been a matchup that has been kind to the Red Raiders. Lost 7 in a row now, currently 1-9 in the last 10 meetings. But I guess what are your overall initial thoughts about heading into Lubbock for this matchup? You kind of touched on just a little bit. It's gonna be a blackout game for us, y'all, second in a row because Oklahoma State is not original. And so I guess what do you kind of expect on the outside looking in? What are some things that you potentially see that this Texas Tech team could give K-State some problems?
Well, secondary, you guys, this is like number one receiver is leading the team in all three categories, right? Receptions, yards, and what's the third? Receptions, yards. What am I missing? Touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're missing our cornerback one. So that'll be rough. Jacob Parrish, I think, is going to be the one lining up against him. He's a sophomore, so it'll be a real test for him. I think our defense overall needs to step up, and then on the offensive side of the ball, last week was rough. Will Howard is definitely going to need to take some steps forward if we're going to win. Just like crazy stat for you, we have won once in Stillwater since 2000, one fucking time. And it was in 2015 when Byron Pringle had a 3-touchdown game and they almost came back in the fourth quarter. So, I wouldn't take out the whole 1-9 narrative because it seems to actually matter. I thought it was just like we had just had bad luck, but Stillwater's actually cursed for us. So, especially was it 2 years ago when we played them and they had the hands of faith call on 4th down and we got like a first and it led to your coach getting fired.
Yes, Matt Wells getting fired.
Yes,
turned out to be a blessing in disguise. But
right.
that was that God, that was that year, man, where I was thinking like, oh, we can win this game, we can get bowl eligibility now. We were like 5-1 or 5-2 at the time, and we were doing pretty well. And then and then for the majority of that game against Kansas State, we were leading. It was like 24-10 in the fourth quarter. I'm thinking like, oh, we just got to close this one out, just close it out. And then all of a sudden, Kansas State, Skylar Thompson, just Deuce Vaughn just kept on getting yards, and we kept committing dumb penalties and everything like that. And I was thinking like, oh my god. And I'm pretty. Like after that game, I think it was 2021. Like I'm a pretty reserved fan. Like I'm really patient with coaches and with players, developing and coaches getting their guys into the system and recruiting guys to match their system as well too. But like when I'm fed up, when I'm just over it, when I'm at that point where it's like I want to get rid of this guy, there's a problem, and we got rid of him that Monday. So it was it's kind of like a crazy scenario. It's like, look, I think we need to move on from Matt Wells, guys. Like we need to. And then that Monday he gets fired. And we actually went to a bowl game that year too, and beat Mississippi State there, beat our former head coach Mike Leach. Rest his soul.
Rest in peace.
But yeah. I mean, that was it's definitely a crazy. That was a crazy game, and even the one I went to up in Manhattan back in 2016, when Pat Mahomes was at Texas Tech. It was a game like he ended up having like 500 yards. I think your quarterback at the time was Jesse Ertz, if I'm not mistaken. He had like 104 yards passing, like 2 touchdowns, and y'all won. Like it was like a crazy stat line. And but yeah, I mean, we just years of having no defense, years of just you know, not being able to play complementary football, and everything like that nature. I mean, there's always one school out there that just has your team's number, and for us, that's unfortunately been Kansas State. We just do not play well against Kansas State, man.
Yeah, last year was interesting too. It was so close down to the fourth quarter, and then we kind of broke away. But yeah, we do seem to have your guys' number, which is interesting because I feel like I'm always afraid of the Texas Tech game every year, especially this year. In my preseason prediction, I had us losing to you guys. This is kind of the matchup of the preseason conference championship teams, right?
Actually, yeah. I mean, you could guess with the hype that was going into it. You would think that these teams are meeting in Arlington, probably later on this year. And potentially could. I mean, I don't want to rule it out. Like
no, and I
optimism in
mean,
me, but
you guys, if you guys can do your magic against Texas like you did last year, you'd be doing everyone in the conference a favor. So,
oh, trust me, I want nothing more than that. I will be at that game. I live out here in Austin, so I will definitely for sure be at that game and be.
I'm going up for the K-State Austin game on the 4th too. I'm very nervous for that. I think back, but it was nice to see them get humbled against OU.
Yeah, kind of bring them back down to earth a little bit. It's always nice, but
they were up in the clouds talking about national titles and everything.
They really were, man. They typically are every year. My dad's diehard Longhorn fan. I got him to wear Tech gear at the Baylor game this past weekend, but yeah, he's diehard UT fan. And he's just, yeah, he's your stereotypical Longhorn fan, like everything negative that you could think about, like a fan would have, or any the arrogance, oh, we're back every year, this year's our year, like he exemplifies that. I love the man, but yeah, he is definitely your prototypical Longhorn fan. And
it really is with Texas. It's like 2 + 2 = 1, right? Like every year they have the best classes and they have all this talent and it never adds up. So I guess you're kind of due for 1 year in like a decade and a half to finally make a run at something, right? It's been 2009 since they won the conference that they're specifically holding up for everybody else. So
I thought that was weird too. There was like an article that came out like when Texas OU announced they were leaving. It's like, oh, it's not Texas OU's job to hold the Big 12. I'm like, okay, OU, I understand. What has Texas done the last 10 years?
And it really is huge that Baylor and Kansas State won the Big 12 the past years and not had OU or Texas even be in the game for both years. So that is big for a narrative standpoint. And, it really, we could have been in purgatory with them both being in the title game in the past 2 years. So it's been definitely good for the conference. Like they didn't, I mean, from a money standpoint, Texas is worth more than some NFL fucking franchises. So I mean, they have more money than God himself. So yeah, I could understand with all the oil money they have, but that's also the reason I think they're never gonna excel, is because the donors think they know more football than the coaches.
Yeah, and I guess they're tired of losing. I guess they would rather lose to LSU and Alabama than to Iowa State and K-State and TCU. So I don't I guess like it's an optics standpoint. I don't know.
Yeah, transitive property.
Yeah, kind of getting back into this one though. So I kind of want to talk and touch a little bit about this gentleman a little bit earlier. So Kansas State, ton of playmakers, of course. One guy I wanted to highlight in particular, who I've been thoroughly impressed with in the games that I've watched, running back DJ Giddens. guy's been an absolute stud. With Deuce Vaughn leaving, big shoes to fill for any running back. But I feel like he's really stepped in, really made a name for himself. He's kind of obviously a bigger dude, one that's, not as shifty as Deuce Vaughn, but can still, juke some people out, make them miss, but not afraid of contact either. And a pretty good receiver as well, too. I think he has like 135 receiving yards on the year, too. So, I mean, he's kind of your do-it-all running back, man. What's kind of been your take on his performance this season?
So last year, I saw a true freshman, DJ Giddens, absolutely laying grown men on their ass. So I was like, this guy's good. True freshman. And then he comes in and he like consistently towards the end of the year was getting rushing touchdowns when we pulled Deuce Vaughn out. So I knew that he was going to be for real. And this year he's definitely taken the step forward that more than I would expect. Again, I don't want to take any away from him, but UCF apparently has the worst Power 5 rushing defense there is. But yes, I mean, the guy is a completely different archetype than Deuce Vaughn. So it's kind of hard to compare them. I think he's done fantastic. We needed an offensive weapon, and not to take anything from our receivers, but they really haven't stepped up completely as much as everyone expected, especially with Keegan Johnson. I don't know if you've kind of been following that storyline. Everyone was super excited for him to come here. He was on the stinkiest offense ever in Iowa a year ago. So, and he was a high 4-star recruit. Now, did you ever watch them? I mean, it was
yes,
like
I watched Iowa last year more than I should have.
There was one game, I forget who it was, but they're playing like borderline FCS school, and they're really won them the game. I think they had a pick 6, and that's like why they won.
Yeah, I think it was South Dakota State that Iowa
It
played.
might have been. It was the Jackrabbits.
Yeah,
that's what I remember.
The game was like the final score was 7-3. They didn't score a touchdown. That was a safety, and I think it was like 2 field goals, or I don't even know what it was. Like they ended up with 7-7. No, it's 2 safeties and a field goal. Like how do you
someone in the stands had a I cheer for the punter shirt on because like their punter like gave them such good field position all game. Yeah. But so he's injured like coming into the season. So that's kind of been why he hasn't had an amazing season. And I heard from a few people, I can't remember who it was, but they DM'd me saying he was going to be healthy for the Oklahoma State game and to slam his anytime touchdown. And that didn't happen. So I guess he's not fully recovered yet. I mean, shit, me and Caleb were predicting 1,000-yard receiving season, and that hasn't happened for K-State in a while. With Snyder, we were a methodical run team with a dual threat quarterback. So, man, I don't know. DJ Giddens is absolutely our number one offensive weapon at this moment, but I wouldn't sleep on Trayshawn Ward. He's actually RB1. He was injured versus UCF and kind of still banged up for Oklahoma State, even though he kind of got the nod. He's kind of switched roles. I didn't think he'd lose the job as much as DJ earned it. So I would say offensive weapon, though, that I would not sleep on is Ben Sinnott. He's had a very good season. He's on pace to break all of our tight end records.
That's what I was gonna bring up too, man. I feel like Ben Sinnott's on it's gonna have a pretty good game this week against us. I think really the weakness for us has been kind of in the pass game. Run game we've been pretty well, but I think in the pass game we've been pretty lackluster, especially with the production that we returned and what we got in the transfer portal. I think that's pretty much will been a weak point of our team, and I really feel like K-State is gonna kind of air it out a lot more in this game. I just got a feeling that they're gonna try to expose the weakness on our defense.
It's hard, man. Will did not have a good game last week, so for me to picture us going nuts on Texas Tech's defense just because of what I've seen, but I mean, against Missouri, he aired it out, and I think he had a good game. Ben Sinnott even had a few important drops in that game. He's had quite a few drops this year, actually. Not taking away from him, he's probably the best tight end that we've seen in a long time. Consensus draft pick at this point in his junior year. But yes, it will. I have faith in Will Howard. This will be covered podcast, but it really seems like everyone was calling for his head after the Oklahoma State game, and I think that's ridiculous. He's a super senior. He won us a Big 12 title, and he had a bad game. And you're ready for a true freshman quarterback? I mean, what the fuck? What are you
Yeah,
doing?
absolutely. I
Not a
understand that,
fucking
and that was
offensive coordinator. Stop
you
it.
know,
And you're like, people are
yeah,
mad at Kleiman. Like, I'm annoyed at Kleiman because he said he was going to play Avery, and then I thought we were going to redshirt him. And then in the post game interview, he's like, "Yeah, we thought about bringing him in." Well, then fucking do it. But to say that Avery is going to start, he is a true freshman, and he's the best quarterback we probably ever had recruited to Kansas State as a prospect. But after seeing him play against an FCS school, and then he came in and had a few good, he averaged 6 yards a carry. You're ready for him to take over our offense over a guy that's been here for 6 years.
yeah,
It's just like people, with every fan base, you get a little erratic after a loss when your team's not playing.
yeah. Just kind of looking for those answers, kind of looking for those outlets. Just kind of some some real explanation. Trying to get just trying to change things up because clearly what you're doing is not working. It's like I understand like from that perspective as well too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm definitely on your side with that. Which was actually the question I was going to get to here. Kind of this quarterback matchup that we have, an interesting one, really. Texas Tech with Baron Morton filling in for injured Tyler Shook. Baron Morton did get some starts last year when Shook got hurt, but obviously K-State with Will Howard, who has gotten a lot of high praise this week from Joey McGuire. He actually compared him to Josh Allen due to his like size, athleticism, his arm strength. I know Will Howard's like 6 rushing touchdowns on the year too. And obviously we know he can air it out. He's not afraid to take those deep shots, not afraid to be a gunslinger. Those are always really, really fun quarterbacks to watch, but also make you nervous at the same time. But yeah, I know you kind of you really have explained this. You're very much well on the Will Howard side of everything. But I guess if you had anything else to say to like those fans that want Avery Johnson to get the start, what else would you kind of want to say to them?
Nothing really. Like they don't like. I think that they're so over the edge on that it's pointless. Like they actually believe that in his super senior year, and also, rough start, and then he had his redemption arc. So it's kind of like they're back to thinking which I can understand. Will had some bad games in there, but there is no reason for you to give up on your Big 12 winning quarterback. He stepped in for Adrian Martinez, and he didn't get named the starter, and he didn't transfer, which is so important that we were able to have an experienced quarterback because he would have had to go to the transfer portal. So the disrespect after one game is insane. So I think they're not thinking clearly on it. So there's not really too much to say. You can't argue with stupid.
Yeah.
And it's like if Will strings together 4 or 5 bad games, then we have something to talk about. Absolutely. But it's one fucking game, guys. He had one bad game. To call for his head as a super senior quarterback that won you a Big 12 title the year prior is nuts. I mean, you don't even know what Avery Johnson is fully like. We know he's good, but he hasn't run a full series against a Power 5 opponent. And everyone's ready for him because of his tape versus a few runs against I think he's thrown the ball like 3 times. he needs a year to develop. He's like 180 too. I mean, like that's a 40-pound difference. You're talking about a 18-year-old going against 23-year-olds or 22-year-olds on the line. I just think that it would be also, can you imagine in a locker room, like if your head coach benches your super senior quarterback, like as a defensive player, as a wide receiver, as a coach, like, I mean, that changes the paradigm and the confidence of locker room. And then like, if Avery doesn't work out against Texas Tech, are we back to Will Howard? Are we just like putting him back in now? Now Will doesn't have confidence in himself. It's just such a stupid move after one game.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that a little bit. I think in 2020, when Wells decided to go ahead and bench Alan Bowman, put in Henry Columbia, who was a transfer from Utah State. Knew him a little bit there at during Wells' time at Utah State. He came in, he had a good game. I think he actually played against K-State that COVID year. I think he was our starter in that game. But yeah, benched him. Yeah, Alan Bowman, came back in obviously when Columbia was, putting up a performance that he did, which not very well. Then you put in Bowman, you plugged him back in there, and then he played better ish. I mean, like I just felt like that was really a recipe for disaster. Like, I mean, I just felt like with Bowman, when we had Bowman, he was not suited for Wells' type offense or Yost type offense. He was really more suited towards Cliff Kingsbury. I mean, Cliff Kingsbury can get the best out of pretty much well any quarterback. I have full trust in him. Didn't really care too much about the defensive side, but
Yeah, I was about to
quarterbacks as
say,
well. He could always get the best out of his quarterbacks. So,
true
uh,
offensive coordinator playing
yeah,
head
for
coach.
sure, for sure. But yeah, kind of a similar situation that we had then, though. I mean, and clearly it didn't work out. I mean, that COVID year, we were like 4-6 that year. We had a really tight game against Kansas to end the year. It was that year was very sporadic, very all over the place. And I definitely agree with you. It definitely needs an asterisk next to it.
A
I
weird
mean,
time,
like,
dude. Like
yeah,
no one knew what was going on, and then these like college kids, like, I mean, they're like people are dying, possibly people in their family, and
yeah,
everyone's like supposed to act like it's a regular college football season. Like we thought the world was ending, and everyone,
yeah,
and then people were like looking at Kleiman's COVID year, and I was like, dude, what a
yeah.
weird
Need
time in
to,
life to like be like, yes, this is normal. It was not normal college football. That was a weird time.
yeah,
So
absolutely. I definitely agree with you. And I kind of just moving on, kind of transitioning into this week. I know you listening to your Twitter spaces, I know you are a betting man yourself. Texas Tech is currently a 1-point favorite with the over under of 56.5 right now, man. Looking at that line, looking at that spread, I mean, it's essentially a pick 'em right now.
yeah, that's
What would you
so.
go with there?
So I would. It's really hard for me to take the purple glasses off. If I think K State's going to lose, I just don't bet on them. I've never bet against my team. I just feel weird doing that because it's like if we win, am I supposed to be
Yeah.
upset? uh, so as an overall feeling, I don't like spreads. I feel like when you bet a spread, it's intentionally deceiving. Like if you think a spread is great, it's usually because Vegas knows something you don't. This game being a pick 'em, though, I would say that Chris Kleiman has a record of bouncing back from losses. There isn't many times in his tenure you find 2 losses consecutively. That since his early years. So I would take K State just because I have confidence in Chris Kleiman. But I didn't get to say anything on Morton. He had a great game against Baylor overall. He did throw a pick, but 3 touchdowns. And that's your backup quarterback. Uh, I mean, Shapen did throw for 324 though on your defense. So
Yeah.
what I
And Baylor's
was
a
going to
running
say,
team too. So, and they
yeah,
only rushed for 17 yards, which I think was, crazy stat.
that is crazy. I didn't even notice 17 yards.
It's 17 yards rushing in that game. And Baylor's a running team.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah, because their running back looked great against UCF, right? That was like part of their big
Yeah.
comeback.
Richie Reese. Yeah.
Yes.
He was dominant, man.
So I think that if Will Howard gets it figured out, I think we win. If he, kind of like what your coach said, like he has all of the gifts to be a fantastic quarterback. He's big as shit. I think he's like 6'5" or 6'4".
Yeah. It's like 6'5",
Humongous.
240. Like,
It's like,
big
yeah,
dude.
he's an NFL looking quarterback. You look at him and you're like, you should play on Sundays. His decision making, though, I don't know if you watch the games. He throws one dumbass pick every game that is terrible, terrible, like a terrible pick. Against UCF, he threw a slant that might as well, he got confused between who was the receiver. And then against the first 2 teams, the first game, his pick, he got hit, so it's not his fault. So I guess besides that game, versus 2 of his picks have been like a bomb where there's a safety, the cornerback's on the receiver, and the safety comes in and just, fair catches it. So if he can get that figured out, I think it's really a mental game, like almost like how a kicker is. Speaking of kickers, if we get into the red zone and we don't score a touchdown, he kind of redeemed himself last game, but I don't know if you've seen our saga with kickers and why I'm like no longer Stu anymore, because we're not getting punt return and kick return touchdowns anymore. We're not making field goals consistently. It's really rough on the special teams end, which puts a lot of pressure on the offense. And last game too, crazy enough, we had a lot of opportunities to win the game, even with how poor a lot of our positions played in the game. So I do want to tie it ball back in. I think that if our team, I think the team is still a Big 12 championship berth, the potential, but it's all if they get it figured out. To be honest, I don't really want to touch the game. I would take the over though at 56. I like that.
Nice. I like that too. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm like, I feel like that's just a real, like, it's a really good line right there, 56.5. But yeah, you got any final score predictions for this week, man? What do you think the outcome's gonna be?
I think with a road game, especially back-to-back ones, it's very difficult for any team, and being another night game on the Big 12, a blackout. I think whoever wins by less than a touchdown. Again, being a K-State fan, it's hard for me to not say State's going to win. But either outcome would not catch me off guard. It's going to be interesting, right? Like it might actually be, because it seems like K-State is not a team this year that, like, if they start bad, they figure it out. Like they're kind of consistently rough from that point on. Troy might be the only time, but it's Troy. It's a G5 school. So I think that if K-State comes out rough, it's going to be hard for us to turn it around. And being a night game, being in Lubbock, you guys get the momentum with the crowd. It's definitely going to be loud. I think the first drive might dictate the entire game based on defense or offense on the field first. I'm going to go with 34-31 State.
Oh yeah, that's pretty fair. I like that. That's not a bad one either.
And it's not because we kicked a field goal to win, it's because we missed an extra point.
Oh, nice. Clarify that up a little bit. And yeah, kind of touching on some of the things you mentioned there, Chris Kleiman, yeah, never really has back-to-back bad weeks. Kansas State really never has back-to-back bad weeks. Usually when they lose a game that they probably should have won, they bounce back the next week. They're refocused. They're re-energized. They have a new game plan. They have a new system. They attack better. They play a lot more discipline. Kansas State always going to be a very disciplined team, especially when they're focused too. A focused Kansas State team is always pretty dangerous. A pissed off and focused Kansas State team, that's really dangerous. And I just think with our history against K-State, it's hard for me to kind of say like, oh, this year's going to be the year. This year's going to be the one where we finally get that one. Although I would love it, being a Tech fan, of course, I would love that. But it's kind of hard for me to, to kind of like, once again, bet against my team. I never bet against my team either. To be honest, but this one's just, it's so rough, man. I feel like you can kind of go either way on this game, but I'm excited for the outcome though, man. I'm excited for this Saturday. I'm really hoping for it. I'm cautiously optimistic though, man. I will say I'm very cautiously optimistic.
Both of our teams need it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, man, I guess that's kind of do it. Like I just wanted to, give you time to go ahead and drop your socials, man, and go ahead and let me know a little bit about your podcast, dude.
So the Mobcast, me and Caleb and Adam, we just, our whole stick with it is there's a lot of K-State podcasts, so we try to make it like three dudes at a bar just talking about sports. They just talk about stupid shit. Like we have a whole segment called Stinky Sightings where we just talk about who sucked that week. And fucking spoiler alert, K-State's gonna be on it this week. But yeah, man, I'm at Special Teams U. Don't follow me. I'm a ridiculous sports fan. I get erratic. But I really appreciate you having me on, man. This was fun.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Anytime I want to hop on, talk about the game, or just talk about Big 12 in general. I'm always here for it. Thank you for letting me speak on your Twitter Spaces, man, and
For
really do
sure.
appreciate your time, taking some time out of your day to go and talk with me. And yeah, best luck on Saturday, man.
Yeah, we'll need it. Thanks, man. I appreciate you.
No problem. All right, welcome
Hey,
back. Yeah, it was a
hey,
very wonderful conversation we had.
mhm.
Really very some had some very insightful information there from that interview. So let's go ahead and preview Kansas State. So guys, we talked about this just a little bit earlier. Start with you, Zuni, man. What are your thoughts kind of heading into this matchup, buddy?
Kansas State, they've got some pretty good wins under the belts, formidable this year. Uh, Definitely shouldn't take them lightly. And to say I'm scared, no. Initial thoughts, we should win by a lot, yes. Uh, First 50-point game, maybe. No, I think Barrymore throws for 250 though this game. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. Kansas State, they look nice, but not that nice. And do we have them at home? I
We
always
do
never
have them
know,
at
man.
home. Yes,
We
this
have them at
game
the
is
Joneses.
Blackout.
yeah,
It's
it's gonna be a
not in
blackout game.
Manhattan. Really, you don't say. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. We're good, man. We play nice when the lights are, on us. When the sun's down. I feel like we do
Yeah, bro,
personally.
we've played like because they just announced the game
This
time for
our
the
this is our
BYU
third or
game
fourth.
as well too. This is like BYU game is gonna be a night game as well too, man. Like we haven't played a
Ooh,
single 11 a.m. game, which I am all for, dude. I
hell
am
yeah.
all for that, man. Because I remember, what was it, 2017? We had 13 games that year, including the bowl game. 8 of them were at 11 a.m. God, that was miserable. That was so miserable. Dude. I hated that, dude. So yeah, I'm glad that that's kind of a come full circle. We're playing most of our games at night. I really like the afternoon slot though. That's probably my favorite slot. The 2:30, 3 o'clock slot. That's my favorite slot right
Is
there
it?
too. Because yeah, because like if you're going to the game, you don't have to wake up early on a Saturday to go tailgating, and then once the game is over with, you can still go out and do stuff afterwards. I just feel like that's a really, really good time slot. My favorite time slot to watch a Texas Tech play. I do like the
I
night
got you.
games, especially for big opponents, like a Kansas State, like they're coming in here. So, yeah, I mean, I really like that 2:30 slot. So, but continue. I'm sorry, man.
Nah, man. I mean, I didn't really have much else to say. I'm not afraid of Kansas State, to be honest with you. We don't have them in what's it called, Manhattan? I don't know. I think
Manhattan,
that's
the
what
Little Apple.
Manhattan. That one, little Montana. Yeah, them. Yeah. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. We're rolling, man. Let's just keep it rolling. We finally found what works, so that has me excited. So yeah, Kansas State. Not really much to say about them off the top of my head. I mean, y'all could probably tell me more. I haven't really paid attention to, like, I've been paying attention to them in some of their games as far as the scores go down in the fourth quarter. Like I know they took Mizzou pretty far,
Yeah,
right? So that's a that's pretty nice on them. SEC opponent, nothing to, not too shabby is what I'm trying to get at. But like I said, in about Tech too, like we faced Oregon. Oregon's kind of nice, So yeah, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good as far as matchups go. We'll get into that later, but uh, like just talent wise, I think we are the talented team, and we finally figured out our groove. So should be good. We should be good. I'm hopeful. Fingers crossed. I will pray to the
hopeful, man,
Texas Tech,
hopeful.
gods. I guess I don't know who are the Texas Tech gods. Is
Pray
it
to Patrick
Rogers,
Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes, Wes Welker,
By the way, just so
for
people
the
watching
old
know, like
goats?
I'm wearing my Pittsburgh Penguins hat and my Pittsburgh Penguins jersey, my Sidney Crosby jersey on right
He
now.
just he just
It
had
is the
to
start of
point that
hockey
out.
season. It's a season opener today. Last I checked, the Pens were up 1-0 versus Chicago. At the end of the first period, so hopefully they can keep that up. So I just wanted to say that, man, so people weren't forgetting. I'm a big Pittsburgh Penguins fan, so yeah, just want to let people know about that, man. I watch all
Yeah,
the
let
sports.
you know. He had the drip on, ladies and gentlemen. And
Yes.
to his credit, it does look nice. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, this is a stitched jersey too, man.
He
Nesta,
was
what
trying to
about you,
show us
man?
his
What's
druid.
what do you think about K-State though?
I don't know. I think they're weird.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe
I
him
think
for
they're
sure.
weird only because I just don't see a consistency within themselves right now. So I think they're very inconsistent. Like they took Missouri to the deep end, and then they go out and struggle against OSU, who's not doing so hot, and they get showed out by Alan Bowman. We're
Yeah.
pretty familiar with that guy,
Yeah.
and Will Howard struggled pretty bad. So I just can't put two and two together with them. I don't know if I should be worried or I should be not concerned at all. Kansas State has had our number a lot in the past, but Deuce Vaughn's no longer there. And so that's just my initial thought. I don't really know how to feel.
Yeah, I definitely understand. It's kind of a typical Kansas State team, to be honest with you. They obviously had Mizzou on the ropes there, just couldn't quite close it out at the end. Obviously Mizzou was helped by a very long field goal that they made to clinch the win. But yeah, to your point though, I feel like they've lost games they probably should have won. I feel like you played. Obviously Kansas State played poorly versus Oklahoma State. I did have a chance to watch that game this past Friday, and I thought they played pretty poorly, but still they hung in there. They were in it till the very end of the game. You obviously just couldn't pull that one out as well too. They were missing a lot of key players. Their starting corner, I think one of their linebackers might have been injured in that game as well too. So they were playing a little banged up. But hey, look, it's football. Things happen. You count for injuries, and everything like that. So I mean, yeah, K-State kind of weird, but as you mentioned, man, they have definitely had our number in the past. I said it earlier. We have lost the last 7 matchups versus Kansas State. We are 1-9 in our last 10 meetings with Kansas State.
When was the
There's
last time we
always a
beat them?
program out there that just has your number, and that is Kansas State to Texas Tech, man. They just
Not this
absolutely have our
year.
number, man. I mean, how many times have we said that? Like, how many
Eventually, we
times
gotta be
have we
right.
Yeah, that's one of
legitimately
the
Eventually, we gotta
only
be
reasons
gone
right.
I'm
out
not
and
like too
said that, like,
hyped.
oh, this is our this is the year we beat K-State? Like, how many times have we said that? I feel like we've said that quite a bit.
When was the
But
last time we beat them? Gee, who's our quarterback?
2015, Patrick
Patrick.
Mahomes. Yeah,
Patrick Mahomes, of course. It's the
I
last time
don't
I
know the
felt
score to that
confident in
game.
that position, right? Yeah.
I should probably look that one up.
Man, that's a good
But
trivia too. I missed out on that
yeah,
one.
man.
God damn, we're 1-9? Are you
One and
serious?
nine in the last 10 meetings. Yes.
That's gosh.
So yeah, it's they have definitely just had your number, man. There's no way around it, dude. Um, but yeah, kind of going into some of their key playmakers, the aforementioned Will Howard currently has 1,200 passing yards on the season, 61.3% completion percentage, 9 touchdowns. Does have 7 interceptions though, so he
Pick
takes a lot of
City.
risks, man. He takes a lot of risks.
Pick
Um,
City.
Joey
Coming
McGuire kind
up.
of compared him to a Josh Allen type player. He's a big guy, 6'5", about 240. He's also very mobile too. He can rush the ball as well. He's got 6 rushing touchdowns on the year as well, with 227 rush yards to account for that. So yeah, I mean, this guy is really a dual threat guy. Pretty high praise. You compare to Josh Allen by anybody, that's pretty high praise as well too. And of course our running back, DJ Giddens. He's had 82 carries this year for 488 yards, 4 touchdowns as well. He's kind of like you replace Deuce Vaughn, you're thinking like, hey, how can we replace this guy who was, very, very productive player for them a season ago? Well, you do that with DJ Giddens, man. Guy's a different style running back, more of a not as shifty as Deuce Vaughn, but he can definitely, juke some people out, put some people on skates as well. And he can, he's not afraid of contact, doesn't shy away from that. He's also a good receiving running back as well, too, as he currently has 16 receptions for 135 yards on the season. So, yeah, he can kind of do it all. He's kind of that do-it-all running back, very big playmaker for them. as well. And it's kind of funny, like their leading receiver is actually their tight end, Ben Sinnott. He's got 20 receptions for 286 yards and 3 touchdowns, man. That's a guy that's gonna really sneak up on you, dude. He's a guy you definitely have to game plan for and try to shut down as much as you can, along with Phillip Brooks, their wide receiver, 27 receptions for 276 yards and a pair of touchdowns as well. Jaden Jackson got 181 receiving yards with 2 touchdowns. And so, yeah, I mean, they do have a lot of playmakers. Don't really have a formidable offense necessarily, but they do have a lot of playmakers. Of course, this was the team last year who won the Big 12 championship. They had a lot of expectation. They returned a lot of starters from a year ago. They were fully expected by them and their fans to maybe compete in Arlington this year. And of course, they're sitting at 3-2 right now. So their season hasn't gone necessarily the way they thought it would either. You know, we're kind of saying the same thing. We thought this year we probably competing for a Big 12 title. And, you know, we're sitting at 500 right now. So kind of looking at each other in the mirror here. They do have a very, very stout rushing defense as well, too. So if there's anybody, this is probably gonna be the best front seven that you see until you play Texas. You know, and that's a lot of high praise there as well, too, because Texas is looking pretty damn good. They have a really formidable front seven, and as well as K-State does, led by linebacker Austin Moore, who has 30 tackles on the season, 19 solo. He's got 1 sack. You know, he's good linebacker, man. Good linebacker, as well as their safety, Kobe Savage. You know, that's a dope last name, man. Anybody with the last name Savage, they're gonna be a pretty good player. You just tell by the name sometimes, right? Of
Facts.
course, you know, accompanied by Marquise Siegel, 23 tackles on the year as well, man. They don't really amass a lot of interceptions. They only have, I think, let me see here. Yeah, they've only had 2 interceptions on the year. Their defensive backs have not really, amassed a lot of turnovers as well. And I think their fumbles, they've only had 2 fumble recoveries as well, too. So they don't force a lot of turnovers. And that's where I think you might be able to get them, especially if your defense can shut down their run game and force some turnovers, be take 3 university. I think you'll have some success there as well too. So those just kind of getting into some players to watch out for on their side as well too. But kind of into it, man. What are kind of some keys to victory that you guys have? What are some actually, let's go and do the X factor, man. Who or what do you think the X factor in this matchup versus Kansas State will be?
Stopping the run. So I think
A
it's
run
gonna come
defense?
down. Yeah, it gotta be our run defense, right? Let's see if our D line continues to, show out and keep it going. Because Giddens is nice. I won't even lie. He is kind of a different style runner, but he still gets downhill and gets yards. So regardless of how he does it, I feel like we gotta first and foremost attack that the same way we attack Baylor, and make Howard beat us with his arm, because I don't know if he can. Because I don't know about you, but I mean, them passing yards seem kind of a bit subpar. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But yeah, no, I mean, our defense is the strength of our team. I believe that our D line is definitely there. I mean, it's an argument between our D line and our linebacking core, who's the better strength. I'll let y'all give me y'all's take on that here in a second. I would say maybe it's our linebacking core. They're pretty talented, but our D line is starting to wake up and get sacks too. So I don't know, and that hurt.
Well,
Just gotta, just, so sorry. Let me restart then. So yeah, I'll let y'all figure out how. Um, what? Fuck. Let me start over again. Okay, 1, 2, 3. I'd love to hear y'all's take on which position group is the strength of our team as of right now. I mean, the argument between the D line and the linebackers is where I kind of fall towards. I mean, our DBs are nice, but uh, our linebacker and our D line is ultimately what comes to stopping the run defense. And well, I like that our corners get into the tackles, they get into the run game and get some tackles. That's good on them. But I think the strength of our team is our linebackers right now. I think they're the most talented group. But Our D line's starting to come alive too, so they're starting to get some sacks. So I ultimately think that's our X factor, not necessarily a single player, but just our front seven in general. And if we can stop Giddens in the run and keep Howard contained, I think we have another not dominant performance, but something similar. I'd like to say, as long as our offense gets going, that's me thinking that they're going to give Taj Brooks the ball. Please continue it. Sorry, I just like to harp on it every week. This guy's a stud. You know, this is it's going to be a Taj Brook running back award after this season. It has to be. You know, I got my soft hand Dylan Cantrell, and I need my bell cow horse Taj Brook award now too, man. So yeah, that's how I'm feeling. The X Factor front seven. What about y'all? What y'all think?
You know, I I mean, I'll let Nesto go first as far as his X factor goes, but I just want to say I think in this game, because they do love to run the ball. I mean, Kansas State, what do we know about them? They're very, they're not flashy. They're not, going to be this world beater offense, or going to play very sound fundamental football. They're not going to throw it around too much. They're going to get a lot of chunk yardage plays. They're going to dominate time of they like to dominate time of possession. Do very methodical drives. It's not flashy, but hey, you know what? It works. They play very disciplined football. They don't beat themselves. They don't get a ton of penalty yards. They're very, very disciplined on both sides of the football. And you know what? That is one of the most frustrating type of teams to go against in this one. But in this game, I think what they're gonna do is I really think they're gonna air it out a lot in this game. I think they're just gonna like throw it downfield, a lot of short to mid range passes, some downfield shots as well too. I feel like that's what they're gonna do because they know we have a pretty stout rushing defense. I feel like they're just gonna air it out a lot in this game.
They can try it. They can try it.
Yeah, hell, they're averaging 460 yards per game as well too. So it's not like their offense is bad neither. Yeah, pretty decent offense as well too. They average 39.9 points per game. Their the average penalties are 48 penalty yards per game. Time of possession, they average 30 minutes of time of possession, as I just mentioned. So yeah, and they don't really turn the ball over very much on the offensive side neither. So, as far as not as far as no interceptions go. So obviously Will Howard has a number of interceptions. So we'll see, man. We'll definitely see how they go. But Nesto, let's get to you, man. Let's get your X factor in this game.
I think that my X factor is going to be physicality. This team's kicked your ass for the past 7 years. How physical are you going to show up to this game? You know what I mean? That has got to piss you off. You got to show them like right from the first whistle who's going to be the most physically dominant team in this matchup. So, it all starts in the trenches. That's where it all starts. Can our O-line show that D-line? Like, we're here and we're tired of getting our ass kicked. Can our D-line show their O-line? We've been studs all year. It ain't going to change this game. So I think my X factor, I know my X factor is going to be physicality. Just how physical the team shows up to be. Do we finish tackles? Do we make plays? Stuff like that.
Absolutely. I definitely hear you.
Love it.
Whenever you get just dominated up front in the trenches, that's demoralizing as well too, man. We were able to do that to Baylor. That's a demoralizing loss to Baylor. Baylor did that to us last year, so we've been on both sides as well too. So if you can just play physical up front, both on offense and on defense, man, that makes it a tough night for everybody, for anybody you play. So yeah, I definitely like that, man. And so Nesto's X factor is show them who the fuck you are. I like that. I like that.
Pretty much.
Absolutely.
I think my X factor is actually going to be, ironically enough, with the gentleman I just had on the podcast, special teams. I think if you can win special teams, I think because last week Austin McNamara was pinning them deep, man. Baylor did not have good field position for a
It
good
was
chunk of the
nice.
game. Every time he punted, man, he was pinning them deep. I think that's gonna be very, very important for uh for this win against K State. Pinning them deep, making them drive the field on you. Of course, on defense, you don't want to let them drive the field on you. But yeah, make them go on those long drives if they want to score a touchdown or they want to get field goals. Make it hard for them, as hard as you possibly can for them. And as well as I think Gino Garcia. Hey, I think he's been pretty good for the most part on the season. I like to see make field goals, man. Just it's pretty simple. Just make your field goals. Any opportunity to get out there, make your field goals as well too. So I'm curious as to see how many times we go for it on fourth down. Considering last year, I think that was probably one of our worst fourth down conversion games as well too, and we only went for it twice last week against Baylor. So I'm curious to see how many times we go for it on fourth down in this game too. So, I think that's something just to kind of watch out for. So yeah, mine's gonna be special teams, and yours front seven. Nesto, show them who the fuck you are. Hell yeah, hell
Heck, yeah, pretty much got all phases. Yeah, I got pretty much.
all phases, dude, all phases. You gotta win 2 of 3 phases, man. And last week we won all 3, and this week gotta show up again, man. You gotta show up again, dude. So, keys to victory. Keys to victory, guys. Nesto, start with you, buddy. What's gonna be one of your keys to victory? I know I already kind of stated it, but yeah, what's yours?
Every week it's gonna be run the damn ball
Run
until they
the
stop
damn
it. You know
ball.
what I mean? Run the damn ball until it stops, and then when it stops, we'll figure something else out. But actually, when they stop the run, throw it so they can continue the run.
Throw it to open up
Simple.
the run.
You want to run the ball, and then you want to do the unexpected, and you want to pass the ball. I love it. I love it.
The unexpected, man.
No, but yeah, for sure, running the ball has to be one, and I think you got to win the turnover battle in this game. I don't think. I mean, last game we had a fumble and a pick.
Yes, we had 2 turnovers.
Yeah,
and a
so
turnover on downs too, if you want to count that as a turnover.
yeah, so I mean, I will because I think that counts as a turnover.
Yeah.
So that being said, yeah, you got to win that battle. Or keep it close. If they mess up and they fumble and throw picks, and you fumble and throw picks, as long as it's like close to being even, it should be fine. And then the last thing is like how you said, special teams. You win special teams. That's one of the facets of the game that you got to win.
Yeah.
Get maybe a return in this game. It doesn't even have to be for a touchdown. They just have to be good returns. Good yardage. So you can get a good field position.
Heck yeah.
Zinni, what about you, buddy?
I would say keys to victory is one of the ones that I feel like we haven't really talked about, but yeah, definitely offensive play calling. Still, Zach Kitley, I think, needs to continue to be consistent with it, and he has been. I think he finally realized what he has in Taj. Everyone and their mom has too. So, it's that's one of my keys. I would say Zach Kitley's play calling, because even when the run is doing well, I did like how quick he was to actually use the bubbles and actually have, shout out to the blockers too on the wide receiver screens, because, getting Miles Price the ball is, for whatever reason, it seemed like a very difficult thing to do at the beginning of the season. And now we're just giving him the bubble, letting him work, right? And it's opening up other receivers in the game too. So the play calling, I think, still has to be sound. And I think ultimately that if we keep scoring and they have to match us score for score, I think we can do it quicker, and we definitely have more talented ball players to do it, because yeah, we do. I truly think we do. I mean, we're playing with our backup QB, guys. Although Jonas said he'd be our starter, just like to point that out. So this is what's supposed to be happening anyways. But yeah, we're playing with our backup QB. So yeah, that's how I'm feeling. Keys to victory, play calling, Zach Kelly, for the overall of the offense. Because I think our defense is going to show out night in, night out at this point. We haven't had a bad defensive performance. We had a bad defensive half. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is it bad to say that we might be the best defensive team that Kansas State has faced this year? Is that bad to say? Can
Are
we make
we?
that
I mean,
argument?
I think so.
maybe. Yeah. I think we might actually be the best defensive team that they play. That's actually very interesting. I mean,
So
kind of running through the schedule. I mean, obviously UCF not
Good
very good
defense.
defensive team.
mhm. You got
You know,
Troy, right?
Oklahoma
But
Troy.
State
Troy,
not
right?
particularly great. Troy not so much. Yeah, just kind of run through. I think what we might actually be the best defensive team that they've played thus far on the season too.
Thus
Their
far,
schedule definitely
yes.
does pick up later on in the year too, especially when they play Texas and then in the year with Iowa State. Iowa State's always pretty tough to go against defensively. So yeah, I mean, I think you might be, but once again, it's how do they prepare for you, and so I just it's kind of like
I
one of
hope
those
they're
things
sleeping,
like
man.
you know
I hope they're sleeping. Honestly, I hope they're thinking,
yeah,
oh,
I
it's Tech.
mean,
They
you
probably
can
look at
one
us
can
and we could
hope,
probably
one
talk
can
them into
hope,
a dub,
but
right? That's probably what
if
they're
there's
looking
one
at.
thing I know about Kansas State is that when they have a bad performance, they usually don't have two in a row. So that's just kind of been their trend, it's been their model for the last, so many years. So yeah, they never really have back to back bad performances. Always a first, always a chance, but we'll see how that goes. So I think my keys to victory, win the turnover margin. Got to do that. That's super important. Keeps our defense off the field. Our offense just needs to go on those methodical drives as well. Kind of, essentially, I would say beat them at their own game. I don't really like doing that, but I mean, our model's kind of been these very methodical, run the ball, run the clock out, these methodical drives. It's kind of been our identity as well too. Wear down their defense and everything. So I mean, yeah, just win the turnover margin. That's going to go a long way to win this game. Win the middle eight, the last 4 minutes of the second quarter, the first 4 minutes of the third quarter. That's always important. That's what Joe McGuire really preaches. It really sets the tempo, really get that momentum going within those middle eight right there. That's really what dictates. Typically, if you win the middle eight, you win the game. So that's gonna be very important. And make them one dimensional. I don't care like if you shut down the run, if you shut down the pass, I don't really care which one you do. Just defensively, you have to try to make them one dimensional. Whatever it takes, whatever it all takes, you got to try to do that. So that's what I'm really hoping that they're able to do. It worked well against Baylor. They had 17 rush yards on you. We'll see if you can carry that kind of performance over. Granted, K-State, much better team than Baylor. So we'll have to see how that one goes. So let's jump right into our score predictions for this week, guys. Start with you, Zunia, man. What is your score prediction, man?
Ooh, okay. So I got pretty close last week. Not really. Um, well, as far as how many points we would score, I got pretty close. That's about it. But mm, probably gonna be another. I'll probably take the under whatever the Vegas is giving us or whatever. Whoever does the line, I'm pretty sure it's Vegas, right? But whoever does the line, I'm taking the under this week. So I'm probably gonna go with like a 30, 36, 30, 33 performance to
That
maybe
would be
like
the over.
a 20, 21, 21 maybe. Would that really? What
Yeah.
is the over then? What's the
Over's
over?
56.5 right now.
56. Really? So 33 and 21. Yeah. That's what I'm feeling. 33, 24. I guess that would be the over. God damn. Well, then there you go. I guess Vegas does know what they're doing because I'm thinking the game's going to be something like that.
What
So
did
yeah.
you say, Zuni? What
So
was- what-
33, 33, 24, 33, 21, a 36, 21, 36, 24, something like that in that ballpark.
I need a real prediction from you,
Yeah,
man.
come
What's your
on,
score
Zuni.
prediction, dude? Give me
Okay,
one.
okay, all right. I'm gonna settle on it. 33, 24. That was the first one I said. I
Bro,
think.
that's crazy.
That's the
That's
last
crazy.
one I'm saying. That's the last one I'm saying, anyways.
I literally just wrote mine down right now, and it's 34-24. That's what I wrote down.
Oh, by 10 points. Okay. Okay. Like to see
Yeah,
it.
but like our predictions are always so close to each other.
Yeah, I know. Like it's very weird. Like y'all have like the same
Like that's
mind.
weird because I literally said 34-24, and then you said, oh, 33-24. I'm like, bro, are you kidding me?
Jesus, man. Y'all need to.
Sorry.
Man.
I mean, at this.
Sorry.
He's like, just get a room. Chill. Chill.
Yeah, well, let me be the villain once more.
No.
Goddamn, Jonah. Jonah has Tech dropping this game for whatever reason. You're telling me they're going 10-1 as a
I
record?
do
That's what you're
have
telling me right now,
Texas
Jonah?
Tech dropping this game. Look, you've lost 7 years in a row. I'm supposed to think
my
this is going to be any different.
Yes, because we for once have a running back that's a running back that's actually running, and two,
That's actually running.
we have a defense. This is an
I mean,
anomaly season, man.
You
Come
know,
on,
it's
bet against the
eerily
grain.
similar to last year, man. Like you had a lot of momentum going for you kind of this time last year. You won a couple of games. You know, you have a blackout game this week, and then it was you had a lot of things going for you. Baylor came to your house, they just absolutely wiped the fucking floor with you. I feel like this is kind of eerily similar to last year. You know, Kansas State is already a pretty tough team to play against. You know, there'd be a tough matchup for anybody who plays against them. They don't have back-to-back bad performances. Never really have back-to-back bad performances. Now they're focused and they're pissed off too. A focused Kansas State teams are dangerous enough. Pissed off and focused, deadly combo right there, man. So I'm sorry, man. Like just recent history, dude. Like until I see it, and I said it's the beginning of the year, dude. Like you go back so many podcasts ago, at the very beginning of the year, I said until I see Texas Tech beat Kansas State, I will not project them to win. So that was one of my losses. I had Texas Tech going 9-3. Kansas State was one of my loss. I'm sticking to that one.
Big fan. Big fan.
I have Kansas State winning this one 31-24.
And there it is. Okay.
So we're all kind of in the same range. I have Tech losing.
Well, since we're all in the same range, it's probably going to be a 48-42 performance in OT.
Most likely.
Watch it.
And hopefully that's a Texas Tech win. Like, trust me, I want Texas Tech to win, dude. I know I have like a lot of listeners out there just they hate me like when I pick Texas Tech to lose, but like I'm being honest.
I hate you and I'm your co-host, man.
I know,
Jesus.
Dude.
Why
are you here?
What's our
right here?
What's our record against them at the Joneses then? Do you know that one off top?
Against K-State at the Jones?
Yeah. So we won one obviously in 2015. So
that was it.
Well,
yeah.
we flipped. So we flip flop since 2015. How many years has it been? Was that?
I don't know, dude.
7,
I mean,
8?
It's been
8?
7 years.
So we're 1-4.
We dropped the last 7 to them.
We're 1-4, 1-3 at the Jones. I'm just curious if we've kept the score close when we played them at home. That's really
we've kept the score close. We obviously play better against them at home. I think one year they ended up beating us in overtime when Cliff was here. And then one time at home, it was like a 30-27 game. And of course, the one that we're both got fired in,
okay.
The one that got Wells fired, we led majority of that game. We should have easily won that game against K-State.
I remember that.
Yeah, we dropped that one. We up by 2 scores late in the game. They come back to beat us. That game gets Wells fired,
So yeah. Last time we won was because of really good talent, and we haven't won because we had really not great coaches.
I kind of go back and forth with this because I don't want to pick Texas Tech to win a game that I think they're probably going to lose. You know what I mean? Like that's just not. I can't consciously do that. And until I see it, I won't buy into it. But I feel like, goddamn, Texas Tech has to be due for one against them, dude. Right? You got to be due for one, man. Eventually,
This is that one.
I hope so. I hope so, dude. And trust me, nobody's gonna be celebrating harder than me when we finally snap this losing streak, dude. I guarantee you, dude.
And not even due for one. This is the start of a new dominance of Tech over Kansas State.
Yeah, you really set the tempo in the new Big 12.
Okay,
it's our turn.
He said, "My turn."
God.
Skip Bayless.
It's my turn with the Xbox, Mom. Well, all right. I'm trying to look here at this next segment. I need to do some Google research as to what time it is. I think it might be some time.
I think it's
it says
6,
here on Google that it's
6 p.m.
Time for some easy money.
Maybe not. Oh,
What is
that's
that?
the time. I thought you were saying the time for the game Saturday. You
Yeah,
talking about easy dinero?
what what time is that set? Oh, it's time
Hello.
for some easy money. Let's go.
Cha-ching, cha-ching.
All
Where the
right.
slot machines?
Welcome into our segment Easy Money. Let me go over some wins and losses from last week before we get this one started. We lose
How'd we
money
do?
on the college football weekend so that
How
you
much I
don't
lose?
have to. So,
That's right.
well, if you bet the under, you won a lot. As for
Damn.
last week's game, man.
Well,
Um,
goddamn.
so
Oh,
there were only three teams that did not hit the under, three games that did not hit the under. One of them was a push bet. The other two were the over. So yeah, we all kind of like that. That one doesn't really count against anybody or for anybody. So and that was a Vanderbilt Florida game. So that one was a push bet. Over under was right at 52. So the final score was right at 52. So bummer, man. But going into this past week, Zuni and I tied at 12-7.
Damn.
Nesto went 9-10, finished second, or I guess third. I don't know. But you are third in the standings right now. You are currently at 65-71 on the season, Nesto. I am 500 at 68-68.
I
So
see you, Jonah.
I'm
Welcome
breaking
back to
even, dude.
500.
My money is breaking. I have not won nor lost any money.
Welcome back to heads and tails, baby. Welcome back.
And Zuni, you currently lead us. You're well above 500 now. You're at 75-61 on the season.
Let's go.
So I'm thinking
Trying
this
to
week,
get a
man, I'm just
B.
gonna
Trying
have
to get a
you make your picks
C.
first, and then I'll just go off of whatever you say this week, since you seem to win every goddamn week now.
That's not
Um,
true. Nesto got a week. I think a week ago,
yeah,
if I'm
and
not
still had
mistaken.
still had one of them. Had one of them. I think I've
You
had
got
one
one.
week where I've won, but yeah, currently sitting at 500. So
Well,
we'll
you
see how it
technically
goes,
won
man.
this week, man. 12. I
And
mean, you tied.
also if you picked a cover, you did pretty well too. I mean, all but yeah, all but four teams didn't cover. So yeah, 6 games covered as well. You know, 7 games hit the under, like I mentioned from last week. But hey, look, it's a new week, man. I'm ready to go undefeated this week and make some serious fucking money, guys. Let's go. Let's get this one started, man. First game got up.
Gotcha.
Got Auburn versus LSU, Battle of the Tigers. LSU, an
Go
11 and a half
Tigers.
point favorite with the over under of 62.5. Zuni, what are we picking here? And I say we.
We. Okay. All right, buddy. Well, this is Auburn and LSU, and they're going to Death Valley. Is that correct? Or
Yes, Death
think?
Valley, the fake Death
Yeah.
Valley.
The fake Death Valley.
We
So
know the
you're one of
real
the
Death
guys.
Valley is in
So you think
Clemson.
Clemson? Okay, so that's all
Yes.
right. That's a hot take. I won't get into that.
I just wanna make some LSU fans mad.
Well, whatever. I mean, I feel like I'm a bit of a LSU one sometimes. Okay, Auburn versus LSU. I think Auburn actually beats the spread. I think it'll be a closer-ish game until LSU pulls away, but LSU is probably going to win by like 10 points. Something weird. So something that's just under that they don't cover. And I'm going to take the over in this game.
You take the over. Okay.
Take the over.
Okay. Well, I tried, man. I tried to agree with you, man, but I just can't. Auburn is so bad this year. LSU will cover that spread, sorry. And I think they hit the over as well, too.
Hey, it's the battle of the Tigers. Go
Yes.
Tigers. Okay, look, man. You never know. Rivalry games. These two teams kind of don't like each other. Just saying.
They kind of don't like each other. I just like the way you said
Just
that.
saying.
Nesto, what you got, buddy?
I'm taking LSU to cover, and I'm taking the under.
Okay. Gotcha, man. We all got something a little different there, it looks like. Next up, we got Temple versus North Texas. North Texas, a 7-point favorite with the over-under of 69.5. Zuni, what you taking there, man?
I'm gonna just roll with Vegas in this one. I'm gonna take North Texas. Watch this be a closer game. But nah, I'll take UNT to win by a touchdown, and I'm gonna take the under in this game. It's kind of a high scoring game, man.
Yeah,
Jesus,
I
70
think I'm
points.
actually
Gonna take
yeah,
Temple.
I'll take the
Crazy.
under in that one, and then I'll take UNT to cover too.
Okay,
Nesto, what about
mean
you, man?
green.
I'm going to take Temple to cover that spread.
Spray it.
Actually, I'm gonna go say Temple's gonna win outright, and I am
Ooh,
smashing that over.
over. You went
Crazy.
outright in the
Damn.
over game, dude. Awesome,
40
awesome.
point game on both sides.
I'm
Love to
gonna say
hear it.
this. I'm gonna be bold. They're gonna score over 90 points.
Ooh,
Dang.
is that a
Dang.
prop bet we got going on right there? Ooh, I like that.
That's a big prop.
Dude, that's 50-40.
All right.
40.
Next up,
Um,
the one that
let me go first on this one because I gotta use the restroom.
Go
I'm
to
gonna
the
take
bathroom break.
all right, no,
Oregon.
let me hold on. Let me do this one. I'll edit around this one. So next up we got the one college game day will be at. Got Oregon versus Washington. Washington a 2.5 point favor with the over under of 67.5. Nesto. What you got there, man?
Ooh, I'm gonna go ahead and take Oregon to cover that spread, win outright, and I'm taking the over.
Nice. Nice. Zuni, what about you, brother?
Dang, man, this one's gonna be a good game. I'm actually gonna take Washington to win this game. I think they'll cover. Washington's gonna give Oregon their first L of the season, and I think Michael Penix will solidify himself in the Heisman race in this game because Bo Nix, Mike Penix, kind of leading that. Not leading that, but they're definitely up there for the award. I don't think he'll go to Caleb Williams. Anyways, yeah, Washington. I'm gonna take them to win this game, and I'm actually gonna take the under. I think it'll be a little more of a defensive game than what they think it'll be. So
Yeah, I feel like
yeah,
if Washington were to win this game, that would definitely be kind of Michael Penix's Heisman
signature
moment,
moment, I guess you could say. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that could be it right there. Um,
Same
but
could be said for Bo
you know,
Nix if he wins. Just
yeah,
FYI, but
especially
yeah,
that if they play well too. I mean, I'm gonna like look, Oregon earned my respect this year, man. I have to go with Oregon, man. I think Oregon wins outright. I'm gonna agree with Nesto there. And I think I'm actually gonna go ahead and take that over.
I'm gonna take the
Yeah.
over. Okay,
I'm gonna
all
take that
right,
over on that one, my friend. So yeah.
okay.
All right. Next up, we got the Dana Holgerson Bowl. West Virginia versus Houston. West Virginia, a 3-point favorite with the over-under of 51.5. Zuni, who do you like there, man?
Dang. Mm. I mean, we played them. They didn't. That was a gritty win. So, look, I just have to take West Virginia. I mean, we beat Houston, right? So,
Yeah.
I guess I gotta go. So, I'm going with going with the Mountaineers, and I think they'll cover. And I'm gonna take the over in this game.
Yeah, I'm in agreement on both sides with you there, man. Nesta, what you got?
Um, yeah, I'm gonna take the under, and I'm taking West Virginia to cover.
Crazy, crazy.
Yeah, Dana Holgerson gonna get beat by his former squad or his former school. I don't think any players are still there from his tenure, but
Hey, but the
yeah,
janitor might be. Just saying.
maybe,
Yeah.
maybe you don't know. Next up we got Iowa State versus Cincinnati. Cincinnati, a 5.5 point favorite with the over under of 47. I do not think Cincinnati covers that. I don't quite know why they're favored by that much, but I think I'm gonna very much will hit that under. But yeah, I think Iowa State beats that spread.
I got Cincy. They'll win. I think they'll cover, and I'm gonna take the under as well.
Okay, Nesto.
Yeah, I don't think since he's gonna win at all. I think Iowa State's gonna just win outright.
Nice.
Um, man, I got the over.
Over, man. gonna be a high scoring affair.
Like barely the over.
Barely.
24-24. I mean, it can't be 24-24, but 24-27 type of game.
Yeah. Gotcha, man. Gotcha. Next up, we got Kansas versus Oklahoma State. KU, a 3.5-point favorite with the over under of 57. Who do we like there, Zuni?
BYU. Oh, wait, not BYU. Kansas versus Oklahoma. I think I gotta take KU. Could just be that wild run where they also have a decent running back. And they do, actually. And the Jayhawks, for whatever reasons, want to be nice at, two popular sports, I guess, this season. Hopefully they have a terrible basketball season. But yeah, Kansas, I'm gonna take them to cover. And I'm gonna take the under, actually, in this game. Oklahoma State, that offense, not amazing.
Yeah, oh man, Kansas keeps it rolling, dude. They had a really massive dub against UCF last week, man. That was kind of came out of nowhere. It was funny. I think like a lot of UCF fans on Twitter were kind of talking like, oh, we'll march into the Big 12. We're just gonna set our presence, right away. We're gonna stroll through it, man. We're already gonna be perhaps in contention with the title. We're gonna finish towards the top, bro. They have been in for a rude awakening, man. They've been for a rude awakening this year, losing to K-State, losing to Kansas. I don't know what other game they played, losing to Baylor, of course, here too, at home. I mean, yeah, they've been in for a rude awakening this year, dude. I think that's kind of funny, but I do have KU covering that spread, and I think I'm gonna take the over in that one too.
Okay.
What about you, Nesto?
Yeah, I want to take Oklahoma State now, but I'm gonna take Kansas to cover that spread, and I'm taking the over.
Gotcha. Nice. Next up, we got BYU versus TCU. TCU, a 5-point favorite with the over-under of 53.5. After last week's performance, look, I'm out on TCU, dude. I'm out on them. I'm tired of picking them to cover that. They're not going to cover. Not going to cover that spread. And I think I'm going to take the over. I think BYU actually wins outright.
Okay. How do I feel about this game? TCU probably will lose. I mean, I don't know, man. They gotta come back and kind of win one, right? Maybe.
I don't know, man. BYU's pretty nice.
I really want BYU to struggle a little bit so they don't look nice coming into our game. So you know what? I think I'll take TCU to cover, and I think I'm gonna take the over in this game. Yeah, that's how I'm feeling.
Gotcha,
I'm gonna
man.
trail Zuni on that one.
You're gonna go Zuni on that one?
Yeah.
Gotcha. And then the last game, the one the entire nation will be watching, man. Kansas State versus Texas Tech. Texas Tech, a 1-point favorite with the over-under of 56.5. This one's basically a pick 'em. Last week's was basically a pick 'em though too, and you're able to come out with a dub. Man, I'm so nervous about this game. This is a wild one, dude. Like it really is a wild game. I'm so desperately hoping Texas Tech can snap this one, but I'm sticking with my score. I don't think Texas Tech covers, and I think it hits that over, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not very good at math, so actually no, it just hits the under. So y'all hits the over.
Lad.
Y'all hits the over though.
Okay.
All right. So should we go ahead and move on to our next segment, our favorite segment, the segment we love here on this show, our good vibes vibe of the week segment. Let's go ahead and hit it, guys.
Let's go.
Zuni, what are you vibing with this week, amigo?
You know what? I gotta go with the good old good shows, especially the shows that get you hyped. And you know what? I've been watching a little bit of some anime, and that's what I'm going with as my good vibes vibe of the week. That I've recently, got the little email saying Crunchyroll 14 days. Actually, I got one that said 90 days for me. surprisingly. So, I just jumped on the opportunity. I said, screw it, 90 days free, Crunchyroll, here I go. So I'm going with anime, just good shows in general, guys. If you got a
Oh
comfort
yeah.
show, watch it. That always makes you feel nice, especially when you're going to bed. One of the best ways to fall asleep for me, having a TV on in the background. Waste of electricity. My electricity bill goes through the roof. I hate it, but love it at the same time because it's good white noise. So yeah, good show, comfort show. I'm watching anime right now. That's the good show I want to shout out. So yeah, I'm going with that, guys. What about y'all? You got any Bueno Vibes vibes, amigos?
Yeah, man. I'll let Nesta go first though.
It's Ernesto. Let's hear
Yeah,
it,
my
man.
good vibe of the week this week is spooky baskets.
Oh
Spooky
snap!
baskets. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Me and my girl do spooky baskets every October since we've been together, and it's pretty lit. So
Nice,
basically,
dude.
just like a
Nice.
bunch of fun treats and just like random knickknacks and some clothes, maybe. Just Halloween based stuff. It's pretty cool.
That's cute, man. Actually, that's actually a good idea. I like that a
Nice.
lot.
Do you celebrate the Spooktober, man? Do you get like really into it, like watching the horror films and everything, or
I mean, I would say yes, but truth is, I watch that all year round. So I'd be kind of a hypocrite to just be like, oh, I only do it on October. Like, nah, I do it every month. I'm a big
nice,
horror fan.
nice.
So, yeah, as a matter of fact, I
Good.
just saw X in theaters. So go watch that movie if you haven't seen it. It's pretty good.
Okay, okay, gotcha, man, gotcha. That's a good vibe, dude. It's a really good vibe. My good
Spooky.
vibe of the week goes to getting iPhone 15, man. My
Oh
plan
yeah,
that I have, I don't have it yet. It's being shipped now. I
then
don't
ordered
yet.
it. Okay.
But with my
Nice.
plan that I have, I'm just traded in my iPhone for another iPhone. I've never had in my life the latest phone of anything, latest phone, latest watch, latest laptop, nothing. I've always got kind of it's like I got the iPhone 12 right now. I've had that. I've been rocking with that for a good while now, and I'm happy with it. I like it. It runs well, man. I like my 12. But I've never had like the latest edition of anything before. You know, this is my first time that I have the
Hell
latest
yeah.
edition of something, dude. I'm thrilled about it, dude. I'm actually really thrilled about to finally have that, man. To finally brag to the homies. Finally, um feel feel confident, when he bust out that phone, man. The
Mhm.
newest one. People ask like, "Oh, is that the new phone?" Yeah, goddamn right, it's the newest fucking phone. So yeah, man, that's my
Yeah.
good vibe of the week there. I know that's kind of
Hell
a
yeah.
first world vibe, man, but like, yeah, hey, look, I'm thrilled about it, man. I've always had like latest. I think when I got this one, the 13 had come out, like or like the 13S or something like that. It was like I think it was like there was a weird gap right there, but like 13 one had come out. Everyone was wanted that one, which made the iPhone's 12 a little bit cheaper, so I got that one. So yeah, I've been rocking with that one for a good
Hey man,
while.
right on. Look at Jonah. You got lobster money now, is what I'm hearing. Getting the getting the
You want the
latest
lobster?
iPhone. You got lobster money, man.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. So that is our good vibe of the week segment there. So, Zuni, do you have any trivia for me this week, buddy?
You know what? Going back to the running back position, Jonah, can you tell me, man, the last time we had a running back like a Taj Brooks, and by that I mean last time someone had, a couple 100-yard games underneath their belt, at least four. Could you tell me the last time we had a running back do that for us in a season? Just give me a
Barry
year.
Batch.
Yeah,
Is that it?
it is not.
Johnny Mack.
It wasn't. It's a little
Hmm.
younger, a little older.
I don't know, man. We were the air raid for a good while there.
We
Oh
were.
man.
It's been a minute since we've had a running back have at least 4 games. We'll go with 4 since Taj has finally had 4 100-yard rushing games. First of all, he's the first running back to do that consistently for us at Texas Tech. Let me just point that out. That should have been a trivia question in itself, but it's not. I just want to know the last back to have over 100 yards like in 4 career games in the same season.
Man, is
Could you
it
tell
is
me?
it
We're
I don't
going
think it's
way back
DeAndre
here, man.
Washington, is it? It's not DeAndre
It's not.
Washington.
It's not DeAndre either, man. We're
Like
going
we've been a
back.
passing team for so long, dude. Like
I
this
know. This is
predates
why
probably
I
my
had to.
fanhood of Texas
Yeah,
Tech.
I had to go back in the logs to even find. Jeez,
Oh,
yeah, this is
no.
I'll give you at least the decade, I guess. You could
Is it
decide
90s?
during the 2010s actually, or not 2010s, 2000s, 2010s.
The
At least
2000s?
happened in yeah, happened in that era. Surprisingly enough, the last running back to get over
Man.
at least to have 400 yards in a season, 4 games at 100 yards this season. So it's been a while. Let you take a guess. Nessa, you got any guesses on this one?
I have no idea, bro.
No
Yeah,
idea.
dude.
Yeah, I know. We've been in air
That's
raid
very
offense for
specific
so
to be honest, but
long.
yeah, I don't know, man.
One of the last running backs to do that for us was actually in 05, 2005. I don't know how to say his name. I might butcher it, but last name Henderson, first name
Oh, Tareen
Tareen
Henderson. Dang,
Henderson.
dude.
Yeah, man. That man was kind of
Forgot
nice
about
that
him.
season. Yeah. So just to point that out, in his one of his last seasons at Tech. But yeah, no, he had a couple 100-yard games. And I believe that was either it was his junior year, I believe, when I saw it. I had to look it up, man. Because one of the announcers said it's been 20 seasons since we had a running back do that. And I was like, who's the guy? Who's the guy
You gotta look it up.
hasn't done this? I had to look it up. Actually, yeah, it took me a while. So Tareen Henderson. So,
Dang, I
yeah,
forgot
man.
about Tareen Henderson, dude.
Yeah, pretty good player, man.
That's
Funny
good,
enough,
man. That's good. Hell yeah. I mean,
yeah,
we've been
so
such an air raid team, dude. We don't run the ball. Like running the ball, this is like a new concept for us this year.
it happened in the Mike Leach era of all things
Yeah, I
too.
know. That's
Funny
kind of
enough.
odd. That's what I'm thinking. Like, dang, man, I didn't think like he knew how to run the ball. I was just like all, passing, just downfield, bubble screens. Like, it's funny. I liked seeing some old time play call announcers and like during when Texas Tech's playing. Like I sometimes like to hear them and that haven't called like a Texas Tech game in like 15 years, 10, 15 years. And every time we do like a little bubble screen or something like that, they always go like, well, that's technically an extension of the run game for Texas Tech. Like, no, it's not. like yeah, back
That's pretty
then it
funny, man.
was, but that's not
Uh,
like I said run game anymore, dude. Like we actually are a running team, you know. But yeah, it's just kind of funny to me whenever you get one of those announcers that's always like that, But because I mean, hey, we were air raid you for a long time, man, and no, those days have kind of come and gone because we got Taj. It is. It's Taj time, baby.
hey man, I just want to be
Or
winning
Brooks
you. So
time.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
it's
I do
it's
Brooks
Todd
time.
Brooks. It's Bell Cow Brooks, baby. Bell Cow Brooks. I can't say it. Damn it. It was nice until it wasn't.
Well, all right, guys. Got any final thoughts, any shouts before we go and wrap this one up, y'all?
Shout out the sun for giving us light. Of course, that's my Jesus, everybody. Because I'm atheist. Nah, I'm joking. Shout out to the listeners, of course. I gotta start with y'all. Without y'all, we are just like I say, three sad individuals talking to each other on a phone call. But thank y'all for listening, of course. Shout out to my girl too, because she puts up with me. Shout out to all of y'all's loved ones as well. We're getting into the holidays, so of course, Halloween's first and Thanksgiving, Christmas. We'll talk about it, but be safe during this fall weather, Jonah's favorite weather. So shout out to that. Shout out to my cat, and shout out to my bed. It's been kind of comfy these past couple nights sleeping.
It's nice to interact with them as well. Shout out to spooky season. It's
Spooky
Spooktober.
season.
Yeah, man, I love it, dude. Halloween. Not really a huge Halloween guy, but I do like the festivities, man. I like the festive feels of it.